The combination of a rapidly growing population, increasing urbanization, and a rising middle class presents a landscape full of opportunities in retail distribution. Our continent is more than just a market. It is a source of immense potential waiting to be tapped. This forum aims to provide you with the knowledge, the strategies, and the tools needed to seize these opportunities and turn them into tangible successes. At Access Bank, your growth and long-term success are at the core of our mission. We are committed to your achievements as they reflect our own. We believe in the spirit of collaboration and partnership, promising to support you at every step. Our goal is to help you not only reach but exceed your entrepreneurial dreams, creating prosperity for your businesses and the communities you serve. Today, we are honored to have you in our midst, and also honored to also have with us a distinguished expert in the field, speaker, Mr. Jimmy, head of Augusto Consult. He's a skilled strategist with experience across various industries. Insights will show his insights will surely provide unique and enlightening perspective on dynamic distribution sector. In addition to our speaker, we are fortunate to have several esteemed panelists with us. I would like to acknowledge specifically the presence of the Honorable Commissioner for Commerce, Cooperatives, Trade and Investment for the Northeast, Mrs. Folashade Ambrose Bedebe. We are also joined by Mrs. Helen Adeshina, Mr. Adewale Opaleye, Mr. Bonnie Obieze, whose insights and experiences would undoubtedly enrich our discussions today. As we embark on this enlightening journey, I encourage each of you to participate fully, share your valuable insights, and immerse yourself in the wealth of knowledge that will be presented. May this forum inspire innovation and be a stepping stone to your commercial successes. With these words, I'm delighted to open this forum. I look forward to a session filled with insightful discoveries and inspiration. Thank you for your attentive presence, and once again, a very warm welcome to Access Bank.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Is that working? Great, awesome. Thank you very much for those succinct but very powerful words that reiterate the commitment of Access Bank to serving our valuable partners. Indeed, what we do is more than banking, and that is why we commit to doing this every year. So to take us further in today's discussion, we would like to welcome for our opening keynote address, actually, our very beautiful, amiable, she's looking very lovely, but I would read her profile before we welcome her to the stage because we need to know who it is that is addressing us in the room. I know you will shake your head, but I will. Okay, but thank you so much for honoring us. Thank you. Would like to welcome on stage for her keynote address, the Honorable Commissioner for Commerce, Cooperatives, Trade and Investment in Lagos State, Folashade Ambrose Bedebe. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you all and good morning. Very pleased to be here. Well done to Access Bank for arranging this. I already see a few familiar faces in the room. Protocol, obviously to acknowledge the Managing Director, the Deputy Managing Director, the ED, Corporate and Investment Banking, the lead orchestrator, Access Bank, Head Augusto Consulting, Professor Maritala Awodin, the Group Head VCM, distinguished guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It's an immense pleasure and honor to address this esteemed gathering at this great program. This continent, from what I understand, wide event, is not just a congregation of minds, but a melting pot of ideas, innovation and opportunities that have the potential to redefine the retail distribution business in Africa. I understand the theme for this year, the retail distribution business in Africa, exploring a cost-effective opportunity which could not be more timely or relevant, because Africa stands at a crossroad with immense potential for growth in the retail distribution sector. The continent's unique demography, characterized by a youthful and increasingly tech-savvy population, offers a fertile ground for innovation and expansion, and which we all know without doubt is the rise of e-commerce, which has revolutionized the retail distribution landscape globally. And Africa, I'm happy to say, is no exception. In 2022, the global e-commerce market was valued at $18.9 trillion and is projected to reach $47.73 trillion by the year 2030, growing at a compound rate of 12.22%. When we talk about distribution as a service, it has emerged as a game changer, allowing businesses to outsource their logistics and focus on core competencies. The model not only reduces operational costs, but also ensures efficient and reliable delivery of goods, thereby boosting customer satisfaction and loyalty. I'd like to talk a little bit about Lagos and what we've done as well. Under the visionary leadership of Mr. Governor Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, Lagos State has emerged as a beacon of innovation and a hub of economic activities. Our administration has consistently demonstrated a commitment to fostering an environment that not only encourages business growth, but also ensures sustainability and inclusiveness. As the Honorable Commissioner for Commerce, Cooperatives, Trade and Investment in Lagos, I have witnessed firsthand the transformative power of embracing modern business models. I've also experienced how disruptive approach to e-commerce and distribution has not only streamlined operations of organizations, but also democratized access to markets, enabling businesses and enterprises to compete on a global scale. In Lagos, we have embraced this change with open arms, creating a robust digital infrastructure that supports seamless online transactions and has enabled even the smallest of MSMEs to access broader markets with minimal overhead costs and democratization of commerce, ensuring that businesses can compete on a level playing field. In addition, the state has invested heavily in improving the transportation and logistic networks, the completion of the Blue and Red Light Railway, and many other projects, including the construction of the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway, which is set, as we all agree, to transform major distribution hubs in West Africa. To encourage retail and boost e-commerce in Lagos State, we have been implementing various regulatory reforms through which we're fostering the ease of doing business by reducing bureaucratic red tape and implementing transparent policies. We have attracted significant local and foreign investments into the retail distribution sector. Recently, Lagos State, according to the World Bank Subnational Doing Business Report, applied and met all criteria to qualify for the first phase of the World Bank state-funded action on business enabling reforms. I think that deserves a round of applause. Thank you. That's the SABRE program. This attests to how our policies are shaping and facilitating the growth of investments, including retail businesses. Distinguished guests, the Sanwo-Olu administration has been a strong advocate for the adoption of technology in business operations, from promoting digital payments to encouraging the use of AI and data analytics in supply chain management. And we have positioned Lagos State as a leader in tech-driven commerce. As we look to the future, it is imperative that we continue to explore cost-effective opportunities in the retail distribution sector. Some strategies to consider include leveraging data analytics to gain insights into consumer behavior, optimizing inventory management, and improving decision-making processes, adopting sustainable and eco-friendly practices, fostering collaboration, partnerships, and strategic relationships through which businesses can pool resources, share risks, and explore new markets more efficiently. As I conclude, the volume of retail distribution business in Africa can be quadrupled. Do you agree? And it will be quadrupled. But only once we ensure that we have we leverage cost-effective opportunities and harness them correctly. This can and will propel our continent to new heights of economic prosperity. Under the astute leadership of Mr. Governor Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, Lagos State stands as a testament to what is possible when innovation, inclusivity, and a strategic vision converge. I charge you all to work together, share knowledge, and embrace innovation to build a future for retail businesses in our continent. I thank you and wish you all a successful and productive forum. Igbega, Ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó, Àjùmọ̀ṣe. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Ma. Before you take your seat, I'd just quickly like us to just take, I know you have to leave very promptly, but I'd like us to take a quick picture with her before she goes. We also have our Deputy Managing Director here, so we'd like to please invite him upstage, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. And thank you for those reassuring words, reiterating the commitment of Lagos State to promoting business and economic trade and commerce in the commercial capital of Nigeria. Thank you very much, ma'am, for those words. And we know that we can always count on your ministry, which is in charge of commerce, cooperative trade, and investment, to continue to support our businesses here in Lagos and even beyond. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate your very wise words. As we move on in today's event, I'd like us to please welcome on stage for his presentation, which speaks to the theme of today's event, the retail distribution business in Africa, exploring cost-effective opportunities. I'd like to invite the speaker for today, who is Mr. Orishejimi Ogbobine from Augusto Consulting. I don't know if he's in the room yet. Mr. Orishe, okay. Mr. Orishejimi, please, you can make your way to the stage. Thank you very much, sir, for your presentation. Thank you very much. I know we do have participants online. You need this, okay.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to be back here once again. I've seen a few familiar faces from last year. Is that correct? And good to see that we're still in touch. Between last year and this year, I don't think we have too much good news. Okay? But what we will do is we're going to do two things. You would see that the macro when we discuss the macroeconomic environment, you would see that on the surface, it seems as if there's very little good news to share from there. Okay? There will be very little good news to share from there, except you're a tortoise in that land in a famine. You know, folklores growing up, the tortoise always had its way, irrespective of what was happening. Okay? So you would see that the macroeconomic environment is a bit tough. Maybe I shouldn't use the word a bit. The macroeconomic environment is what? Is quite tough. We thought a dollar at 750 was bad, isn't it? And we're crying. And that was this time last year. But today, what is it? It's double, isn't it? And we're no longer crying. So we cried at 750. And we dried our tears at 1,005. Are we weeping? We've dried tears. So basically the key takeaway here would be there's no need for tears anymore. Right? The question is, how do we win in an environment like this? When we go through the presentation with you, I'd like you to recognize one thing. The Lagos State Commissioner just left. It would have been nice if she heard this. None of us here is a policy maker. I'm not, you're not, Access Bank isn't. None of us is a policy maker. The government should do this, the government should do that. Why is the government not doing this? It's good to raise these questions, but that's not in our own courts. What we can do is, amidst all of these issues, how do we win? That's why we're here. So I'm just giving you a macro background to educate and inform you of why certain trends, certain consumer behaviors you are seeing is playing out. Okay? That's the essence of the macro background I'm giving. But every other thing outside that basically speaks to how do you win in an environment of this nature. Can you please throw up the slides? Please throw up the slides. Let's go into the slides now. So once again, to reiterate, however scary the macro numbers we share with you are, please don't worry yourself. We're still going to come back to what matters to you. How do you win in an environment like this? Can I get the pointer, please? Can I get the pointer? Okay, you flip slides. Okay. So let's go to the first slide. So we're going to basically address 4 subjects. We'll look at the macro background, like I said. We'll look at our retail and distribution space. We'll look at opportunities, and then we'll talk about basically key takeaways for us. Next slide, please. So let's just paint the macro picture, give you a snapshot from a bird's eye view, a helicopter view of the macro picture in Nigeria today. First, our government over the years has overspent. And I want to bring this home in a very simple way. If you earn 100 naira over time, and you spend 200 naira all the time, every month you earn 100 and you spend 200, what's going to happen to you? You get into debt to finance that extra 100. So it's called a deficit situation because you're earning 100 and you're spending 200. So every time you have to spend that extra 100, you have to go borrow. Okay? Borrowing isn't bad, is it? No, it's not. The question is, what are you doing with that extra 100, isn't it? Once you can answer that question, then it's possible that that extra money you're borrowing will help you unlock income tomorrow, isn't it? Nigeria has borrowed materially over the years. Under the prior administration, we took quite a number of loans from everywhere we could, including our central bank. Unfortunately, we didn't use all of that money for the kinds of things that will help our economy improve materially. We didn't build a lot of infrastructure. Irrespective of what we built, we could have built much more. We built the Lagos-Ibadan Express Road for over a decade, 1.5 hour drive. So when you're building a road that takes 1.5 hours in 10 years, it tells you that there's something not right with how you've borrowed to spend. Is that correct? What has also happened is that we'll talk a lot about inflation. Inflation has also risen materially. The goods you bought for 500 naira this time last year, are they still 500 today? Some are 1,000, some are 1,005. When you buy those goods at 1,005 when it was 500, will you sell them at 800 to a customer? A customer comes and tells you, I bought these things for 500 last year, but you are buying it at 800 from your seller, so you sell it at a higher rate. Okay? Next slide, please. Okay, so there are 3 economic prices in every economy that we should all be aware of as retail and distributors. I'll try to be very simple, so please don't be worried about the sophistication of these economic subjects. I'll try to be very simple, and I'll bring it home to you. The first is inflation. Inflation basically looks at how the prices of goods and services in any economy moves. Is it going up? Is it going down? The late founder of my company, the late Mr. Bode Augusto, he used to say to us that when you arrive in any country, the first thing you ask is, what is your inflation rate? That's what he used to say to us in his lifetime. The Lord bless his memories. He'll say to us that, what is your inflation rate? If your inflation rate is low, then it shows that prices of goods and services in that country will be relatively stable. If your inflation rate is high, then it shows that prices of goods and services will be dancing and going volatile. Do you know the number for low? When we say low inflation rate, I'll share it with you. It's 3%. So when we say a country has low inflation, we mean 3% or below. So you see countries like America, countries like UK, basically the Western countries, 3% or below. You know what Nigeria's inflation is today? It's about 35%. So look at the gap between what we've defined as low inflation and where we are. 35 versus what? 3%. We'll talk more about that number and we'll show you how it affects your business. The second is interest rate. Interest rate is also a function of inflation. If I come to you today and I say, please, I need a loan from you, and you tell me that this is the interest rate you are going to charge me, that interest rate you are charging me has an impact on your cost of doing business. Is that correct? Because you have to feed in that cost into the final cost price of your goods, isn't it? So if a country's interest rate is high, then the cost of goods and services in that country would also be what? High. Well, now let me now tell you one interesting thing. The interesting thing is this. In economics, when countries want to manage inflation, you know what they do? They actually raise interest rates. That's how it's done everywhere in the world. The only thing is that you do it for a while, and then as inflation begins to decelerate, you now lower interest rates as well. In Nigeria, we've left a lot of tough decisions too late. And if you follow the news properly, you would hear that the central bank is doing what today? They are raising what? Interest rates. So if you've got a loan with the bank will probably have nudged you, informed you, notified you that, well, sorry, but we have to raise your borrowing rates. Is that correct? Because the central bank has also done the same to them. And one of the reasons why the central bank has done the same to them is that inflation sometimes is caused as a result of excess money supply. I know you will say, where is this money? Isn't it? But remember I said to you earlier that the government borrowed a lot from the central bank. So it may not be your fault, but the consequence you will bear, even though it wasn't your fault. Is that correct? Take it as a plight of the firstborn. The younger ones commit, and the first one gets the knock. Isn't it? So you're all firstborns in Nigerian economy today, and you're going to bear the knock for what your government did. So the government says that, the central bank says that we have to raise interest rates, because when we raise interest rates, we reduce money supply. The businesses can't borrow as aggressively, and that reduces money supply. So that's the tough situation we found ourselves today. There's a Brazilian proverb that says that when you cover yourself with a blanket, if you cover the head too much, you leave the what? Leg exposed. If you cover the leg too much, you leave the head exposed. So we're trying to balance difficult situations. We're caught between a rock and a hard place. And the third key prize is exchange rate. That's the third key prize, exchange rate. Now, I've said something already to you. Other countries, the Western countries, UK, US, they have inflation of around 3%. We have around 35% today. You raise interest rates to try to slow down inflation, isn't it? Now, a country that has inflation of 3% and a country that has inflation of 35%, when these two currencies are exchanging between each other, don't you think there should be a consequence for the country with a high inflation, and there should be a reward for the country with low inflation? Shouldn't there be? Your inflation impacts your exchange rate. And that's why the inflation subject is a very important one. One of the things we've not done right in Nigeria is that we focused heavily on exchange rates. If you have a kid who struggles to wake up in the morning and you keep scolding this kid, you sleep too long into the morning, what do you need to do? You probably need to address when the kid goes to bed, isn't it? It's not when the kid wakes up that is the problem. When does this kid go to bed? Early to bed? So we are focused on the exchange rate. But what is the driver of exchange rate when we don't care? So you see, even we as citizens, we're a bit blindsided to the issues, isn't it? Because the driver of exchange rate is inflation. The driver of interest rates is inflation. So if we do not address inflation, we cannot address every other thing that follows inflation. And that's why, once again, our late founder used to say, the first question you ask in every economy is, what is your inflation rate? I'm sure we're all professors on these 3 economic prizes now, isn't it? Good. The 4th key economic prize is the price of any key commodity in that country, especially in a country like Nigeria, a commodity-dependent country. We all know what Nigeria's key commodity is: crude oil. Crude oil, that's our key commodity. So the price of crude oil matters because in Nigeria as well, every country has to earn foreign exchange before you spend foreign exchange. How does Nigeria earn foreign exchange? Nigeria largely earns foreign exchange from the sale of crude oil. I won't go too much into that because I would like to keep this simple, but I'll just highlight a thing or two there. In terms of crude oil, the prices have been stable over the last year or two. at over $80 per barrel. The prices have been stable. But you know where the pain point is for Nigeria? Production. Nigeria, just a few years ago, we used to produce 2 million barrels of oil per day. Today, we are producing less than 1.4 million barrels per day. In other words, this country is losing on its capacity over 600,000 barrels of oil per day. This has an impact on our foreign exchange earnings. So when our Naira has moved from 750 to 1,500, these are some of the issues that have impacted and caused that negative movement. Is it clear to everyone? Next slide, please. So I'm just showing you in numbers, and I'm sorry if you can't see from here. Don't worry, I don't have better eyes than you as well. Okay, so we're all together in the same boat if you can't see from here. The numbers don't look too good in terms of inflation. Remember I told you that the benchmark is 3%. The central bank's inflation target for Nigeria, the lower end of the inflation target is 6%. The higher end is 9%. Nigeria Central Bank has an inflation target of 6 to 9%. Today, we are well over 30%. And our forecast is that at the end of this year, it could even rise to as high as 38% in a severe case scenario. So those are the numbers. But let me speak to what matters to you. Next slide, please. I'm going to show you how that inflation impacts your business. Because when you see how it impacts your business, by the time we start to say to you that, what do you do to manage these macro issues that are impacting you, then we're better informed. How does inflation impact your business? We've just picked out 5 key issues. It affects more than these 5 key issues we've picked out. But we just picked out these 5 key issues to share with you. The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics tells us, and we see it every day. Yesterday at work, we're having lunch together in our lunchroom, and a colleague brought his lunch, and when he brought his lunch, he came from home with yam, cooked yam. And all the ladies in the office said, "Oga, where did you get yam from?" You have more or less eaten gold. You could as well put some expensive jewelry in your plate and eating the expensive jewelry, because that's what yam represents today. When you hear the price of yam, you know when you ask the seller, for a farm or for this tuber? Okay? So, prices of food products. And these are consumer staples, the foods we eat every day in Nigeria. Yam is a staple. Bread used to be a staple, it's now like a luxury meal. Gari is a staple. Fufu price has refused to go up because it has become smaller. Okay? So you now have jokes on WhatsApp circulating where people swallow one fufu at once. Fufu used to be that meal that you use as a sleeping pill. Now fufu is like peppermint. You swallow it without realizing. Okay? So food prices have gone up. How does that impact us as households and our business? There's higher food budget for households. What the average household is spending on food today has done what? Gone up. Nigeria of today, if someone says, "I'm coming to visit you," some people want to eat before the visitor arrives. Okay? So that the visitor doesn't join you on the meal table. Because that impacts how much you are going to spend on food that week. Isn't it? Now, what does it also mean if you're a food dealer? It means that if you're into that food business, your margins have done what? Compressed. Because imagine someone selling yam and everybody comes. How much is this tuber? 5,000. And everybody is leaving the yam. Nobody is selling. The yam is what? Piling up. Then after a stage, you're like, look, nobody is buying these tubers at 5,000. What do I do? Maybe I sell it at 4. At that 4,000, not like people would even buy it. But your margin is what? Is razor thin. It also means that the households who buy from us, whatever we sell, or whatever service we offer, because they've spent so much on food, okay, the money they have left to spend on other things has done what? Contracted. So that's what we mean by disposable income. When households have spent so much on food, then they have little less. They have less for other things. So whatever we sell, we'll find out that our consumers are more price sensitive because the core essentials in their lives have done what? Gone up. It also does something that we all need to be aware of. When there's hunger in the land, there's anger in the land. Are we aware? What this means is that the potential for socio-political upheavals is what? Higher. We saw what happened in Kenya, isn't it? Check the videos out online, man. It's everywhere. Remember, it started in the parliament. But you know, it ended up in people's shops and businesses. Those demonstrators ended up, after destroying a few government assets, they went and attacked assets owned by people like us. So, higher food prices stokes insecurity. It stokes socioeconomic crisis. At this point, it may not be an unwise decision to call your insurer nearby. It's higher cost for you, but it may be better cost for you. It may be one of the wisest costs, especially if your business is located in what is called a flashpoint. Okay? If your business is located in a flashpoint, it may just be a wise decision. Drawing an insurance firm near you, a reputable one, to say to you that advise me on what to do. These are my fears. Because that's what higher food prices can lead to. And we tasted that, was it last year or 2 years ago? 2 years ago, right? We got a glimpse of it. Real estate prices have also gone up, especially in major cities. Rental prices for real estate has also gone up in major cities. Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, Ibadan. Remember, I said two things, essentials. What greater essential is there in life other than food and shelter? Is there any greater essential? Not even raiment. Food and shelter. You can survive on the same clothes every day, but you need to go somewhere and sleep, and you need to put food in your body. So these two essentials have done what? Gone up materially. And that's data from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, over 50%. So there's higher rentals for households and businesses, which means if we have to rent, we're probably going to pay more as well. I remember I said something else, that I said something when I was talking of food prices, that our consumers are now spending more on essentials, which leaves them with less when they are buying every other thing, isn't it? So this household's food budget has gone up. This household's rent will potentially go up if it hasn't gone up. A friend was telling me recently of what the landlord said to him. He said the landlord said that house you took last year at this price, this is the new price for those who are just taking it. What do the landlord is communicating to my friend? Okay, exactly. Be prepared. Thank you, sir. Be prepared. Boy Scouts. Okay, so it also means that for us as a business, if we're moving locations or we're opening new locations, we should be mindful of what the rent will be and say to ourselves that, what do I intend to get from there? Basically, we have to be more calculative in these parts, in these times, isn't it? We have to be more calculative. And that's why even in the local language, there's a proverb that speaks on calculativeness. Ishiro, blah, blah, blah. I won't complete the proverb. You know? I'm sure some of you know it better than I do. We have to bring that local balance, Ishiro, calculativeness in times like this. The third key price, another key issue, how inflation has impacted us is that even for things like private education, what we're saying is that school fees have gone up between 35 to 100%. Nigerians value education, isn't it? We do. We value education. So you can see what households are facing today. Higher food prices, higher rentals, and these families that value education, higher cost of education for their kids. School fees increasing. And the school owners here will tell us that, they'll probably admit to us that as the school fees rises, enrollment rates do what? But you also can't maintain the standard of the school at that old what? School fees. So what do you do? The teachers want more salaries. If you do not pay them more, what would they do? They would leave. And what happens when the veteran good teachers leave that school? The standard of the school does what? It drops. But at the same time, when you increase the school fees, some students do what? They leave. So you can see that today, we are caught between a rock and a hard place. There are no easy way out. No easy options in this. Next slide, please. And then telecommunication will also go up. That's very important because a lot of the discussions we're going to have in the second part will be hinged on telecoms, data, online, and things like that. Okay? But now the telecoms companies have written to their regulator, the NCC, saying that what's affecting everybody is also what? Affecting us. So we also need to do what? Raise prices. We also need to raise prices. We have to raise our prices as well. But interestingly, a lot of Nigerians, and it's even not just Nigerians, globally, people now treat telecoms as an essential, especially data element of it, as an essential. So people are saying to themselves that I need to buy this, I need to buy that, I need to shed cost on this, but I have to maintain my budget on telecoms. The only thing is that some people are saying that, okay, I'll call on voice less and call on data more, maybe use more WhatsApp calls instead of voice calls. But I just have to keep in touch and still maintain my communication, via telecoms. And then lastly, there are discussions around minimum wage. It's a come see, come sa scenario. It's neither here nor there. The wages have to go up. That's the reality. But by what level would they go up? Because if the wages go up too high, it does have an impact. Minimum wage affects everyone here. Everyone who employs labor, especially if you have more than 5 staff. It affects everyone. Okay? So if minimum wage is raised, then people have better purchasing power to come and buy from you. But what also happens when the businesses who can't adjust to the new minimum wage say to their staff that I've got 100 of you, I can't pay all of you this new minimum wage. So I'm going to downsize by 50. So you see, while minimum wage has gone up and has increased people's purchasing power, some have also done what? Lost their jobs. And that's why I said it's a difficult situation. And that's why you see the government has been struggling. Because it's difficult to find a balance. So these are some of the ways inflation has impacted us as businesses and as households. We'll bring it home on what we can do to help mitigate some of these risks. Next slide, please. Then, remember we talked about numbers. We talked about inflation. We've looked at the numbers. Let's look at a bit of few numbers. We'll not spend too much time with the numbers. Interest rates. And I said earlier that the central bank always has to raise interest rates to control inflation. So today, Treasury bill rates, which we like to use as a benchmark, have risen above 20%. if the government doesn't give any of us a loan and it gives the government, if the bank doesn't give any of us a loan and it gives the government, it will get more than 20% on that loan it has given the government through treasury bills. So you see why our own loans have to be above 20, because we are riskier than the government, we agree. The government owns the currency, so it can print the currency to repay. Can any one of us here print original? No, we can't. So you may say to your bank that, why is your interest rate so high? You may quarrel with Morenike and the rest of the Access Bank team that, why is your interest rate, why are you charging me so much? But this is why. This is why they are charging you at that level. Because if they don't even give you money, they'll earn 21% from giving it to the government. Next slide. But I'll share some other interesting slides with you. We've talked about inflation. We've talked about interest rates. In every economy, everybody wants to do business and gain. Abi? Do you realize now that if you even buy Nigerian treasury bills, you lose? You lose. Inflation is over 30%, 35%. When you give government money in treasury bills, it's 21%, you lose 14%. You see the number there? You lose 14%. And that's why there's still a bit of speculation on the currency. Because smart money is saying to itself, astute investors are saying to themselves that, if I hold this naira, I'm losing. So you know what, let me hold a currency that can preserve value. I remember I told you inflation in the US dollar is worth 3%. So that helps me preserve value versus this other currency where inflation is worth 35%. And if you even look at both currencies over time, and you say, okay, 35% is a negative outlier today. Let's spread it over time. If you look at the long term, you see that, you would see that the naira has done 18% in the last 10 years. The dollar has done 3%. So let's even do away with the 35% number. The naira has done 18% over the last 10 years in inflation, which means that when you match the naira versus the dollar, it's 15%. So the naira's inflation against the dollar's inflation is 15%. So you see we're worse off currency than them. So those are part of the things that has led to speculation on our currency. Next slide, please. So year-end exchange rates, if you see the naira at 1,000 naira, please wake up, it's a dream, okay? And quickly take some malaria pills, because I hear some funny dreams can lead to malaria, okay? So we probably won't see the naira at 1,000 again. No, so let's move on, okay? Let's move on. It's happened. So the question is, what do we do with our naira at 1,005, 1,006? How do we live with this? That's a new question. We've already explained why the naira has depreciated. It's a collective issue. It's inflation. It's the way we've borrowed money. It's the way we've spent money. We all enjoyed subsidy, isn't it? We all enjoyed petrol at 145, didn't we? We did now, Daddy. We enjoyed it. So we all chopped the money. Because when we were buying petrol at 145, other countries were selling it at 600, 500. So we got ourselves here. It was collective. We all drove the train that got us here. So we'll have to work our way out of this. Next slide. And then just to quickly highlight that as an economy, we're also not growing. Nigeria's population growth rate is around 2.3% to 2.5%. Our economy is growing around 2.7 to 2.8%. So by the time you match the population growth rate and the economic growth rate, it just about evens out. The economy is not growing vis-a-vis the population. Okay? The economy is not growing. And how does that impact us? It shows you why there seems to be a level of economic stagnation amongst quite a number of our consumers. It's like people are still at the same level over the years. And that's why you see some people just look at the situation in the country and say, look, I've been at this same level for the last 5 to 10 years. You know what? Let me just do what? Emigrate. And that's why I see lots of young people are doing what? Trying to emigrate. Because of that economic stagnation. And this is the picture of the economic stagnation, an economy not growing too well with a population growing very well. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'll just skip this and go to how these things affect you. I'm sure we'll share the slides with us later on. Next slide, please. Because I've spoken a lot about all of these already. So, in a nutshell, in signing out on the macro, there are 4 key subjects we need to recognize here. There's lower purchasing, consumer purchasing power. The people who buy goods from us, who patronize our services, their spending power is weaker because their income is what? Weaker. And that will lead to, the way we can grow revenues as businesses has been curtailed. We're probably growing revenues today because we've increased the prices of our goods, not because we are selling more. So maybe in the past you were selling 100 units, right? Today you are selling 60 units, but you are making more money because the cost of 1 unit has gone up. But if you look at the volume you were selling before, if you were bringing in 10 containers before, you're probably bringing in 6 today. But even though you're still, your top line, your revenues are still higher because the cost of those 6 containers or the price of those 6 containers is higher than the price of even what 12 containers used to be. But where we want to be is to be able to sell at 10, 12, 15 containers once again, which is where we used to be. Okay? And then there's a higher cost of goods. Everyone has increased prices. The logistics people have increased prices. Everyone who is offering you a service to help you sell your goods, they've all done what? They've all increased their prices. Even our borrowing costs, when we come to the bank and say we want to take a loan to do our business, has that cost gone up or gone down? It has gone up. So you can see that there's a general pricing pressure on our businesses. So that's signing out on the macro. Now let's look at how, next slide, let's look at how, what we can do, what's happening in our own space and what we can do about some of these things. Next slide. So let's look at some of our key market trends in our distributors business. I'll share some with you. Some you may not even be seeing very clearly, but I'll share that big picture with you. COVID happened in 2020 and we all locked at home. You all recall? What did that do to us? You know what that did to this economy? It moved a lot of business, a lot of commerce into phones. A lot of commerce moved into phones. We now have a new generation of entrepreneurs. Should I call them market men and market ladies? Younger people who've come into our businesses, they've never opened one shop. They've never opened one shop. They started this business here, and they've run this business here. Sometimes they come to you, they buy from you, and you're wondering, where is your shop? Okay? Sometimes they just send a dispatch to pick it up from you and go and deliver. So they don't even have stock. They don't have stock. Pick up from you, deliver, they pay you. They don't have stock. They don't have need for stock. We're seeing a rising adoption of e-commerce and online shopping in a way that even predates, in a way that has revolutionized what we had before COVID. What we had before COVID was we had platforms like Konga, Jumia, and the rest of them, where everybody goes and buys. Now, people on Instagram will tell you that Instagram is more of a marketplace than anything else. The amount of commerce taking place on Instagram, on Facebook, and on WhatsApp status is mind-blowing. That's how businesses are evolving today. It's a key market trend today. A lot is happening in that space. So we need to say to ourselves that I will show you what we can do to boost sales through some of these online formats today. The second is that our payment solutions. Are the hydrogen guys here? Access, are the hydrogen people here? They're here, good. So you pay me later. Thank you. The payment solutions today are different from what it has ever been because of two factors. One was COVID. The second was what happened to us in Q1 of last year. Who remembers what happened last year when we were buying our Naira with Naira? Do you recall? You recall? Let's not forget, though, those issues have a lasting impact. When we bought Naira with Naira, do you remember? Either you buy old Naira with new Naira with old Naira, or transfer with cash, you recall. The numbers show us that the amount of digital payments that have come up in Nigeria ever since gone up materially. What happens to any business today? Picture you're selling water, and I come to your shop and I intend to buy a carton. I have cash on me to buy a carton. That was the decision I came with. But in the course of being at your shop, I now remember that, you know what, will I drive here again? You know what, let me just buy 10 at once. I came with cash for 1 carton of water, isn't it? But in your shop, I now decided to buy 10. But I came with 1 carton. I now ask you, do you have transfer? Can I transfer to you? You say no. You know what is going to happen? You've lost sales. Because I'll walk away with the cash I came with, which was 1 carton. And that's what we keep explaining to businesses. You have to create these payment options in a time like this. You cannot leave money on the table. So someone who walks to you and says, I want to buy XY, and then he says, oh, you have this, you have that. Okay, and then he just decides to ramp up his budget immediately at your store. But guess what? You say, no, I take only cash. Okay, no wala. You can have the cash you want. I'll buy it somewhere else. In a time like this, why are you walking away from sales? Thirdly, we see how dispatch riders are all over Lagos today, isn't it? Every bike today has some steel box behind it. You know what those dispatch riders have become? Those bike-hailing dispatch riders. You know what they've become? They've become the wheels of commerce. They become the wheels of commerce. If all your old model, my mother was a market woman in Balogun Market. I may have shared this story last year. So I grew up going to Balogun Market in the 80s. I'm still working in that part of town. So I have a paint work dedicated to Balogun and Broad Street. Back then, she depended on people who came to her to buy. They needed to know her. They needed to meet with her to buy. You know what the bikes have done today? You don't know who your buyer is. And the buyer who doesn't know who the seller is. You know who knows both people? The dispatch. He's the one who takes the goods from the seller, who gets the orders from the buyer, goes to the seller, picks up the goods, and takes to the buyer. So that's how business is changing today in our country. And I'm mentioning all these things to say to yourselves that, are you being left out or are you a part of it? That's the essence. Are you a part of this trend or you're an observer of these trends? The fourth is, we said something earlier, that the young Nigerians want to do what? Emigrate. Well, you know what about those young Nigerians? They miss home. They all miss home. Nigeria is an interesting country. Everybody who has left always misses it. Maybe I'll be the first to emigrate that won't miss Nigeria. Okay? But I'll wait till then to test it. But one thing I can tell you from my own sphere and ecosystem is that everybody who has emigrated misses Nigeria. And that's why you see every Nigerian who has emigrated, they're on WhatsApp talking about Nigeria 24/7. Oh, guy, you've left us. Stay where you are now. What's your problem? Well, you know, part of the things they also do because they miss home, they patronize our businesses. The amount of purchase from Nigerians in diaspora is unbelievable. I've introduced one woman who sells groundnuts to quite a number of Nigerians abroad. Whereas I go to her from time to time, buy 1 or 2 bottles. When they call me, Jimmy, I want to buy groundnuts. You say, how many bottles? 20. I'll say, why are you buying 20 bottles at once? They buy in big orders, okay? Because they want to stock up over there. So they typically buy in big orders. Many of them use the platforms I've spoken about. They find you on Instagram and they buy from you. We've talked about our Naira, how it has depreciated, isn't it? But you know what that does to them? For every dollar they change, they get 1,005, 1,006. So their earning power to buy from you is what? Is higher. So while we are complaining, it's a perfect storm for them. So when I come to you and I'm pricing till you ask me to buy you water to have energy to negotiate with me, right? The price of that goods, and you say, just 70,000. Okay, buy 3. And I'm like, So that's what's happening. So how do we open up our markets to be able to reach these different segments? The fifth one I'll share with you is, we've talked already about that, is that weaker consumer purchasing power is driving a lot of consumers to lower brands, value brands. Today, typically the kind of toothpaste I used to buy, the kind of soap I used to buy, from the place I used to buy it, now I'm seeing that same soap from different countries. They'll bring the Qatar version, the Indian version. I hope I don't use something else one of these days. So lots of dealers are selling lower brands, the same brand, but the low value edition, because that's what consumers can do afford. So in the way we sell today, if your people cannot buy that good at this price, make sure you have options that can at a lower price. You must be able to read your consumers. What can they afford? What can they buy? What would you stock that would sell? What would you stock that won't sell? People are going for value brands, cheaper brands, and they are tearing up these different packs into smaller packs. Next slide, please. So, this is consumer confidence. Just want to explain a few things to you why consumers are buying less, negotiating more. 4 things happen. 2 on the global end, 2 on the local end. But we must not forget where we're coming from. In 2020, COVID happened. We all remember. And how that impacted businesses, how it impacted incomes, how it impacted households. Some people haven't recovered today. In 2022, as we're bouncing back from COVID, Russia-Ukraine happened. It affected food. I've already talked about it. In Q1 of last year, we had the demonetization policy where we started buying Naira with what? Naira. And then, around just before this time last year, what happened to fuel prices? It went up by over 400%. This is what consumers have faced in the last 4 years. These 4 factors is what economists call headwinds. Headwinds, difficult situations that the consumers have had to that have impacted on the consumers. So it means that more people are cautionary in spending. People ask themselves more questions before they spend today. Should I buy? When should I buy? Why am I buying? What am I buying? What else can I buy if I don't buy this? Consumers are asking that question more and more. We need to bring this home. When consumer confidence is low, there's a probability that they would say that this thing I want to buy, let me buy it tomorrow and not today. Because I need the money, I need to hold money today. Okay? Whenever people defer spending, it affects us. You know that. Because that's what they are supposed to buy, they are not buying. Secondly, lower consumer confidence also means that people are looking for bargains. Where can I buy the cheaper version? Where can I buy the cheapest version? In that market it's cheaper. With that person it's cheaper. That's what everybody is looking for these days. And it also means that people are going to, that brand loyalty is going to shift. The person that has always said, I would only drink this type of water, I would only use this type of paste, I would only use this type of cement. Brand loyalty is shifting. It now becomes, who is offering me the best price that I can afford? I don't care what this, whatever, how long I've bought this product and things like that. I'll buy anything that I can afford. Next price. Sorry, next slide. Say next price. Okay. So, how does this impact your business? It means that consumers are going to be buying items in smaller packs. Somebody who likes to buy things in cartons now wants you to open that carton and just bring out 2 pieces and give him. So we have to be flexible. You get the message there? We have to be flexible. The man can't afford a carton anymore. He can't afford a truck anymore. If it's a Hilux he can afford, give it to him. If it's 2 units in a carton he can afford, how do you sell to him? We must learn to sell to consumers who are now poorer. It's another skill set. These consumers do not have the money they used to have, but we still want a slice of their wallet. How do we sell to them? It also means that because people are coming to buy in smaller units, the volume of transactions will do what? Because I'm coming more and more this time around. Not like before when I bought a carton. Now I'm buying 2 units. So I'm coming back every time, every time, every time. It also means that we have to pass messages to our distributors, our upward distributors, that look, the way you are bringing these goods, consumers can buy that way. This is what they need and this is how they need it. The manufacturers who have responded are selling more. This type of product is selling more because the manufacturers have changed how they configure it. Okay? Next slide, please. And then, let me bring this home as well. We've talked about online trade. We've talked about digital penetration. How does it impact your business? We've linked it as well to COVID. That COVID was a major catalyst for e-commerce in Nigeria. Whatever we were experiencing before COVID, post-COVID, there was a boom. So what does that mean? It means that lots of our people have downloaded. People now have all sorts of apps to buy this, to sell this. Are we blindsided to those turn of events? Do we have the capabilities to sell online? How digital are we or not? We need to answer that question. Social media platforms, particularly Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, they become major commerce enablers. Well, you know what this also does to you? It helps you boost your market beyond that physical contact. If you have a shop in Okeari and all you're dependent on is people who walk in to buy, you're limiting your sales. Because when people can reach you online, you probably would never know them, you probably would never see them. But you just find out that your sales is growing because your market has expanded even beyond your own site. So that's what digital penetration will do. Let's not be afraid of digital. Let's embrace it. A lot of times in life, people fear change. But if you understand that this change will take your business to the next good level, then let's conquer our fears and say to ourselves that how do we penetrate this digital that I'm hearing about? Next slide. So let's start bringing it home. Let's look a bit at opportunities. Next slide. We talked a lot about inflation, didn't we? And we said inflation is going to increase the value or the price or the cost of your doing business. So the question is, at a time like this, how then can you manage the impact of inflation and higher cost of your business? first things first, research has shown that one of the biggest killers of small businesses, small and medium businesses in a country like Nigeria is pilferage and fraud. You'll be shocked at the hole pilferage and fraud has dug into your business. I had a business I used to buy goods from at Lagos Island where I work. A few years ago, every time I went to this business, they always insisted I pay in cash. I'll go there with my card and they will insist, "Oga, we don't take POS, we don't do transfer, just pay us raw cash." So eventually they would detail a salesperson who would follow me to the ATM. We'll both queue up at the ATM. I'll withdraw cash. This was pre-COVID though. I'll withdraw cash and I'll give to them. And then one day I went to buy goods from the business, and the shop owner's wife, who's a partner in the business, was crying. And I said, "What's the problem?" She said their salesperson at their Alaba branch stole 8 million from them. And she cried and cried. And after a while I looked at her and I said, "Why would they steal 8 million from you? Maybe you don't want transfer. You don't want POS. You want cash. You gathered so much cash that somebody in Alaba, where there is no direct supervision, accumulated 8 million naira of cash to steal. How did 8 million naira accumulate in a business, in a small branch somewhere? How?" I said, that's for you. I have little sympathies for you because your practices cost this. I said, every time I come here and say I want to swipe, you say no, I must give you cash. It's the same practice you had everywhere, and that's why the person in Alaba gathered 8 million and walked away with it. If we are saying that cost has gone up, inflation has gone up, and somebody is able to steal a part of your top line, your revenue, you can see that your cost is even going to do what? Go higher. You are going to be more uncompetitive. You'll be more uncompetitive. So, at this point, you need to block leakages. Especially leakages that are open to everyone, so glaring. And one of the things you can do about that, pilferage results in inflated costs. That's the first thing you need to understand. So you are saying to yourself that, how come your competitors in the market are able to sell their own goods at this price, at a lower price than you? And you are saying, are they selling fake? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? You don't realize that what's resulting in your own higher cost is what? Pilferage. Your people have stolen so much off you that you are left with low cash, and you have to increase your own prices because you are trying to adjust to remain in business. Pilferage results in inflated costs, reduced profitability, and weakens your cash flow. That's what pilferage does. It weakens your cash flows. It makes you uncompetitive. So what can you do about pilferage? You need to focus on what we call revenue assurance. In other words, every 100 naira that is supposed to come into your business, ensure it's that 100 naira that comes in, not 90, not 80. And you'll be shocked at how many businesses in this country today, you walk in and the salesperson tells you, if you are not paying with cash, go your way. The owner of a business that is saying so is helping the pilferer. So, talk to your bankers. Talk to Access Bank. Talk to Hydrogen. Have integrated banking solutions, because with integrated banking solutions, you mitigate pilferage and fraud. Secondly, increase your online business. We said so earlier. Because by boosting online business, you can find new markets, new target markets to sell to, which helps you raise your revenue to absorb the higher costs. Because that's one way of absorbing costs, by selling more. Thirdly, you need to manage spending. How do you spend? How many of us here have budgets? How many of us here have budgets? How many of us draw budgets for our business? None of us. Okay, just a few of us. Okay, just a few of us. This time next year, if we ask that question, we want to see more hands up. Now is the time when we now have to have budgets for our business. You have to have a budget for your business. You have to track spending. How many of us track our spending? This is how much I used to buy something 2 years ago. This is how much I used last month. You see? Just a few of us. We also have to track spending. There are businesses in Nigeria today that diesel cost has crippled. They are buying diesel nobody is using. They are buying diesel somebody is stealing. They are buying diesel when there is light because they are not tracking it. So in the midst of all the noise, Nigeria is not working. Sometimes the business inefficiency is why Nigeria is not working for you or with you. We need to track spending. Because if we do not track spending, then we cannot measure whether our business is doing well or is doing poorly. We just spend as it comes. We need to do these things. Okay? And for those of us who import, we need to manage our foreign currency risks at this point. Speak to our bankers for solutions. If we need to pull together to import, please let's do so. The era of saying I'm the star in the market, I'm the only one in the market. Like I said earlier, you bring in 6 containers, I'm bringing 2, you're bringing 2. All of us are paying different duties, all of us are paying different logistics. Or I'm bringing 1 container that is not full, you are bringing 1 container that is not full. And we're all both paying cost. Maybe we can bring in 1 container together at this point. So there needs to be collaboration even while competing. Next slide, please. And then, to round it up, looking ahead, next slide. In charting the course for our future, we need to just re-emphasize the major things we've said. We need to leverage technology and digital solutions on 2 ends. At the banking end, talk to Access, talk to Hydrogen, to give you that technology solution for your banking at this level of your business. On the other end, how we assess markets through online and through digital platforms. We need to be open to these new initiatives. We're not too old for these new initiatives. We're not too old for them. Let's not be afraid of change. Secondly, our supply chain and logistics. Remember I told you that the bike hailing has become the wheels of commerce in Nigeria today. So how do we improve on our supply chain and logistics? Because the young entrepreneurs who are coming into business that do not have shops, that's the advantage they have over us. They've invested very well in their supply chain and logistics that they are able to run the same business we run without physical outlets, buying from us and selling to consumers who would otherwise have been selling to. And lastly, we need to understand our consumers. A consumer who can't afford this simply can't afford it. What can that consumer afford? And do you have that thing to sell to him or to her? Understanding your consumer also means that, remember I told you that the Nigerian diaspora is part of your consumer market today. And that consumer market is less price sensitive. So it's not all about doom and gloom. It's not all about the fact that consumer purchasing power is lower. But for some people, consumer purchasing power is what? Is higher. Are you able to access them? Because the platforms those ones use is not the platform of the person who comes to the market to buy. The platform they use is digital. So however your consumers are behaving, are you tracking it to understand what they are doing, how they are doing it, why they are doing it, and who they are doing it with? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Wow. Thank you very much, Mr. Ogobine, for that very insightful presentation. And it's comforting that you ended saying that it's not all doom and gloom, but there is hope. How many of us are assured that there is hope? It's only the man in, okay, I see a few hands. Okay, thank you so much, Mommy. But there is indeed hope because he had reiterated and highlighted some very critical action and steps that we must take to advance our business in the light of today's reality. And it's important that we begin to adapt as business owners, as the lifeblood of the Nigerian economy. I took a few notes down, and I'd just like us to take a quick exercise, just a quick sample poll on your table. Just ask the person sitting next to you, how are you adopting digital in your business space? Ask them, are you online? I don't mean posting, they've increased this one on WhatsApp status. That's not what I mean. I don't mean sharing the news of somebody I mean, is your business online? Ask the person. Give them a nudge. Be mindful of the person you're nudging though. Is your business online? Okay, is it on WhatsApp? Or is it WhatsApp? Okay, please, let's rise to our feet just very quickly. I know we've sat for a few minutes. I need us to just rise to our feet and just shake a bit, shake a bit, shake a bit. We've sat a bit. Yes, you can just shake the person next to you and greet them, welcome. Did you listen? Did you hear? Are you budgeting? Is your business tracking? Is Chinedu stealing the money? Have you put a camera in your shop? Is your business booming? Is your accountant accounting? Ask them, what are you doing differently? Yes, thank you so much. I need us to take a step or two, count 2 steps forward, count 2 steps backward, and then, to the left, to the right. Should we do it together? Okay, let's go. To the right first, everybody. 2 steps to the right. Okay, 2 steps to your left. Okay, 2 steps forward. 2 steps backward. If your back is okay, just bend down and pick a pin. And then raise it up again. Glory. Thank you so much. Please have your seat. And let's give a big round of applause to Mr. Orishejimi Ogbobine from Augusto Consulting, who gave us not just bad news. He didn't give us bad news. He just painted the reality for us so that we don't live oblivious of the fact of what is happening within our business environment. And then we can begin to open our minds and explore the opportunities that abound in the marketplace for all of us as business owners. Whether you're a distributor, a sub-distributor, a retailer, whatever place you occupy in that space, there is hope for your business. Thank you so much, Mr. Ogbobine. We will continue to activate as you have instructed. Now, I'd like to mention there is a new thing that we're introducing. Are we together? Or we are still trying to, grapple with the reality that's been painted for us in case we were living in the past before. Now we are, okay, yes. Thank you. Okay, so as we progress every year, it's indeed very glaring that this remains a very impactful platform for us as distributors and for us as Access Bank. We are so happy to continue to do this to help our very valued partners. In this year's Distributors Forum, we're introducing a panel session which would enable us engage with some people who have, integrated and implemented some of these initiatives that were introduced and mentioned here today. We get the opportunity to ask questions. We're also going to ask, we will be asking Mr. Bobina here questions. He has said it, he's a consultant. They say consultant, they take your wristwatch and tell you the time. He has taken our wristwatches today, he's told us the time. He will now begin to action it for us and tell us step by step, how can I help Chinedu to not steal from my store? I hope there's no Chinedu in the room again anyway. Okay, I apologize, Chinedu, if you're here. If your middle name is Chinedu, I didn't spy on you. I did not know. I just mentioned it. Okay, so please, we have some very experienced professionals and reputable business drivers who will be joining us on the panel session. We're not going there yet, but we are going to get there. But before we do that, I'd just like to very well acknowledge them. In no particular order, I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Boniface Obieze, the CEO of Ringo Telecommunications, who is here today. He's the CEO of Ringo Telecommunications, ODL Telecommunications, and Uproot Technologies. Please, can we put our hands together for him? obviously, is one who has taken on technology and digital integration in his business, and we're hoping that we're going to take a lot of learnings from him. We also have amongst them Mr. Adewale Opaleye, the founder and CEO of Alezo. Please, can we put our hands together for him? Of course, we're going to have with us the Augusto man, the man with the data and the good news, Mr. Orisejimi Obobine. He will be on the panel. And last but by no means least, we will have a powerhouse female. I'm a supporter for the women. Mrs. Chioma Chimere, the coordinating managing director of Technology Distributions Limited, a seasoned professional and executive in the ICT sector. Please come put our hands together for her. How many of us are looking forward to this session? I am looking forward to it. I have questions I need to ask. All this fufu equivalent to peppermint. I'm like, is that for real? Oh my goodness, there's a lot happening in Nigeria. I just used to think fufu just refused to shift. He was defying all the odds. I didn't know that fufu was gaining his own ground and reducing the size as the cost was increasing. But there are many things that he has encouraged us to do, and which I believe that we have to do it. But ultimately, adopting technology integration in your business remains a critical step that we must take to grow and to leap our business forward. Thank you so much again for that very insightful session. To move us forward in today's event, I'd like to call on a professor, a man who has served in government, and a man who continues to advocate for us to do the right thing, not just as businesses, but also in ensuring that we do what we need to do. For the Christians in the room, you know the word that says, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Absolutely. So are you sure you are not over giving Caesar or under giving Caesar? What has Caesar made available to you that you can take advantage of as a business that you are not taking advantage of because you do not know of it? By Caesar, I mean government, in case some of us are not getting it. I apologize. Caesar is equivalent to our own government. Today we have a Zacchaeus, who is also a taxman. And I'm sure one thing that this government is not relinquishing on is ensuring that we pay taxes. Every day you hear different ones. Yes, because it's for real. I think it was last year that Access Bank held the Corporate Taxpayers Forum, very impactful session. There were so many things that were thrown up here that I thought that we definitely can take advantage of. And it's no mistake that we are here in this room as distributors to also leverage that. So please join me in welcoming on stage today. I'll read his profile, and then we put our hands together for him before he comes up stage. He is a professor, yes, and he is an astute businessman as well, and business economist, an entrepreneurship educator, with background in financial and business institutions. He has served as a director at Crown Hill University and, of course, executive chairman of the Kwara State Internal Revenue Service, a member of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, with awards including MIT Global Startup Workshop, African Scholar, and Harvard Business School Executive Education, while also founding 50/50 Institute Limited and the Muritala Awodun Widows and Orphans Foundation to support education and business development. Distributors, business owners, sub-distributors, retailers in the room, Access Bank community, please let's welcome the Professor Muritala Awodun. Thank you. He's going to be taking us on a session on tax automation or tax sensitization. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. We just had a very good presentation that has opened our eyes to the challenges we all face. And I will not want to bother us so much about looking into all of that again, but I'll take us perhaps to the next level in relation to issues about the fiscal and tax reforms that this present administration is trying to put in place as it affects us as distributors specifically. But to be able to understand that, I'll take off from where Richard Jimmy stopped. And I want us to look at what we all do when it comes to talking about the problem of Nigeria. There's nobody in this room that if we decide that, oh, tell us one problem of Nigeria, that will not be able to say one thing or the other, and then we will have everybody contributing. When it comes to issue of solving the problem, let's profile solutions to the problem. We probably won't get everybody contributing, but at least majority of the people will still have something to say on how to solve the problem. But when it now comes to acting on those solutions that we have put forward, we have very few people that will probably be ready or willing to do the needful. And that's why, even when we relate it to ourselves, our businesses, we see that it follows the same pattern. You know, everybody knows that this thing is wrong the way it is, and they complain. So many people will tell you what you need to do, you know, to correct it, but only a few people will take action, take steps to right the wrong. So, without wasting time on my slide, I will want us to understand the problems in perspective and then go into the solutions, because what will help us here is not too much about the problems, because we already know it. But how do we begin to act on solving the problems? If we just take one out of the various yardsticks that were presented to us and use it as a basis of our discussion, the exchange rate. We leave inflation alone, and we say, let's take the exchange rate and look at it, you know, historically. From, let's say, 1983, when we got the military coming back after the Second Republic, to 93, when they tactically wanted to leave and didn't leave until 99. What we will see relating to the exchange rate for that period of 9 years, from that late 1983 when Buhari took over power and then up to 1993, is that our exchange rate moved from less than 1 naira to 17 naira within that period of 9 years. That's 17 times what it used to be, was what we had at that time. And then you look at it from one government to another, 93 to 99, it moved from that 17 naira to 88 naira. From that 99 up to 2004, from that 88 naira to 124 naira. From that 2004 to 2009, it moved again from 127 to 147. And then it moves on and on and on like that, till this administration took over at around 540 or thereabout, and we are at 1,005, 1,006. So you look at it, there have been this exchange rate volatility, whether we like it or not, because of things that we know, which we don't need to belabor ourselves about. There's no way those changes in rates are not affected the way we do our businesses, even our homes and the rest, as well as the issue of inflation prices and the rest. But one thing that we have all not recognized is the fact that we really don't have people tackling the problem by trying to solve it. We mouth the problem a lot. We talk about our problems a lot, and we do less in solving it. So let me go specifically to what this government has tried to do. And as painful as it may be, the government set up a presidential committee on fiscal policy and tax reform. And that committee, anchored by Taiwo Oyedele, that we all know, had a lot of representation cutting across the various segments of the nation, so that the solution is not from one man, the solution is collectively from all of us. Beyond the fact that that committee has representation from all segments or sectors of the economy, the committee also adopted an approach that is quite different from what we are used to. And what is that approach? It is not just about identifying the problems or suggesting the solutions, but also empowered to bring about the implementation of those solutions. That's very rare when it comes to issues, of government. They'll probably just ask you to come and talk and then recommend to us, and we decide to do it or not to do it. But that's not the situation that this government has adopted. But in terms of what the committee's mandate is about fiscal management, about revenue administration, about tax policies, about our tax laws, about the fiscal competitiveness of the nation and issues relating to economic growth. These issues cut across so many things that has been discussed here today, and if well addressed and solutions well implemented, will probably take us out of where we are. Now, what are the various areas of attention that need to be addressed? Because those are issues that we have all talked about. There is multiplication of taxes and levies, from what is collected at the federal, what is collected at the state, what is collected at the local government. We have a total of almost 200 taxes and levies in Nigeria. And some of us here will have at one point or the other had to pay as many as it relates to us. And government is saying, no, this cannot continue. So through this committee, government is mandating that, look, bring all of these taxes together and let them not be more than 10. Let them not be more than single digit. Rather than duplicating them and punishing. And when you look at it, most of the issues relating to this multiplicity of taxes affect the people at the bottom echelon more than the people at the top. Because the people at the bottom echelon are probably operating at a level where the local government can really harass them. And because you don't want your business activities for the day to be disrupted, even when you feel that you can question or you want to question what you are being asked to pay, you just pay so that your day will be smooth, and things like that have been happening. But this government is saying there will be no more of that through the harmonization of these multiple taxes to ensure that it comes, to a single unit in terms of number of taxes. But who collects what also has to be clearly decided, which is part of the work of this committee. What is collectible at the federal level, what is collectible at the state level, and what is it that the local government are to collect. But all put together should not be more than 10, and that is what the committee, has been mandated to do, which has been put together, and we begin to implement when it is signed into law. Now, beyond this issue of harmonization of taxes is the fact that we have multiple agencies even collecting these taxes and levies. You have the tax agency itself collecting some things. You will have some other agencies of government collecting one form of levy or the other. And government is saying, no, when it comes to collecting anything called revenue, let's forget whether it's a tax or a levy, let there be just one agency at any level, whether at the local government level or at the state level or at the federal level, just one agency to collect the money. And we know what that will do. You know, leakages and all of that will be blocked, and government will be able to account for his money and be able to use it for common good. The issue of leakages and the rest are also being addressed through what we call modernization and simplification of the tax system using technology and the rest. Issue of leveraging on data intelligence. Everybody here will have at one point or the other registered for the national ID. You probably have your driver's license, you have your international passport, you have your voter's card, you have multiple forms of identification that you have done at one point or the other. You have your BVN even before you can open an account. And all these data silos are providing information about you, and government is not leveraging on it. And tomorrow you will still go to government for one thing or the other, and they will still be asking you for information when they already have those information. So this committee is also trying to integrate this data so that it can be useful for government and useful for administration of government revenue. And now, the issue of tax policies. Sometimes questions are asked, and some of us as consultants, we even get confused sometimes when clients approach you for advice, because you will have to look into so many laws, you know, to even be able to advise the client. Because these things, some laws are as old as the nation, some are even older than the nation itself. And nobody has looked at it or revise or review it over a long period of time. So this committee had also taken the pain to review all of this and make sure that they are simplified in such a way that the taxpayer can understand and the tax administrators will also not be able to use. So the other side of it, which has been is also being considered, is the issue of recognizing the fact that the taxpayer is somebody that should be treated well. And why is it so? The taxpayer, in the first instance, is the owner of the resources. That is, as a citizen of this country, you know, everything that belongs to the country is ours. All we have done is to surrender it to some people to manage on our behalf. So we should therefore be recognized as such and be treated as such. Beyond that is somebody you want to collect money from, you must engage such a person in a kind of relationship that will make that person wanting to even give the money out of respect, not harassing and all of that. So in terms of taxpayer relationship and ensuring that, you know, taxes are paid voluntarily, compliance is easy and all of that, these are issues that have also been taken into consideration. In other words, what are we saying here? That the government had recognized the fact that things have not been done well, and it is time for us to begin to do things well. It's never too late to do that. And what the government has done is putting this committee together. Those are issues that have been on the table. Those are issues that have been discussed, and specifically mentioning some things that affects us here are the fact that the committee recommended and the government assigned that portion that businesses, those who are operating businesses whose earnings are not more than 25 million naira, should be exempted from things like withholding taxes, and some various kind of taxes. So this is just trying to ensure that you protect majority of the people, because you see that majority of the people doing business are in that lower level, and they are the people that even suffer most. The people that are at the top are not paying as much as they are supposed to pay. What do I mean by that? They have the money to engage consultants like us, engage the best of lawyers and the rest. And at the end of the day, where they are supposed to pay, let's say 1 billion naira, they can maneuver their way and pay 100. Meanwhile, the people at the lower level that is asked to pay 100 naira or 200 naira out of his 1,000 naira cannot engage a consultant. So he will probably just have to pay. So the level of compliance, even at the lower level, is higher based on studies that have been carried out than at the higher level. And this has to be reversed. So government is looking into that, and that's part of the reason why this particular aspect of ensuring that those whose businesses are, earning less than 25 million naira should just be exempted from some kind of taxes. The same thing applies to the fact that government has introduced, in response to some of the recommendations, exempting taxes, some certain level of taxes for manufacturers, for farmers, and all of that to address issues relating to the kind of crisis that we have now. There are also some low-income earners, that has also been exempted completely from payment of taxes. Because the truth of the matter is, what you struggle to collect from these people when you amass it together is not even up to sometimes what you collect from one elite. So if you are going to make life better for so many people and allow them to be able to breathe, like our president has said, it's better than for you to be harassing those people at the bottom while the people at the top, are left off the hook. Finally is the issue relating to clarity of what to pay, when to pay, and how to pay. Because these are areas of ambiguity that the tax administrators exploit to rip us off most of the times. And part of the effort of this committee is to make this very clear so that you know what to pay, when to pay, and how to pay. In the final analysis, the majority of us that are at the low level when it comes to issue of payment of taxes, we find it very difficult to file our returns. If we measure the percentage of people that file returns at that level, it's less than 10%. Why is it so? Number one is majority don't even know what to do. Number two is nobody even comes after them to say, why have you not filed? So if nobody is disturbing me, so why should I bother myself? And number three is the fact that how to go about it, a lot of us also don't know. In this time and age of technology, and I must say kudos to Access Bank for taking the lead in some of these things that they are doing. This is another area that the bank can actually render service or assistance to their customers by creating, something like access tax support team, which could be technology driven, that customers can actually, use as a medium through which they can do their filing on an annual basis. Sometimes, some of us will receive a notification for account maintenance, some 10 naira, some 20 naira, they charge us like on a monthly basis. for rendering this service to these customers, you can charge as low as that. And you are rendering the service to millions of your customers and then helping them to be tax compliant without stress, with some kind of technology behind it and some team who are also driving it. So this is an area that the bank itself can look into as a solution to ensuring that issues relating to taxes are easier for us. Imagine a situation where you have tax issues and then you can just contact a team or a department or somebody in your bank who will take the issue up and then respond accordingly. So it doesn't have to be your problem because you don't have the money to engage a consultant. So it's just like the bank is actually a consultant to you because you are a customer of the bank. And what they get, or what they charge you is something that you probably will not even feel because they are charging so many people at the same time. So as far as issue of the tax environment is concerned, what the government has done so far is to make sure that it is conducive and it is friendly enough for the taxpayers. I guess I have a limited time and there will be an opportunity for us to have interaction to enter into the specifics and answer some of the questions that may be bothering you. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you.
Hello. Okay, great. Thank you very much, Professor Awodun. We appreciate that presentation. Thank you. And for the insight that you shared on all the things that are being done at the Presidential Committee on Fiscal and Tax Reforms. We really, really do look forward to the outcome of that committee. We're seeing some of it being translated at the FIRS at that level, and we're hoping that it's going to distill to, the common man. We will see it, not just the announcement that you are paying more taxes, but we will begin to see the impact of these reforms directly on businesses, on our customers, on our very valued partners that are in the room today. Okay, thank you very much for that. No one likes tax conversations, but they are the reality. So we have to live. We live in a country, and we have to do our own part in ensuring that we provide what we need to the government to do what it needs to do for us as businesses. So we have good news. Yes, I come bearing gifts, because I know that I've been listening to tax conversation. I need something to ginger my spirit. So I come bearing gifts. Everyone, are we ready for this? Okay, I can't hear. Are we ready for the gifts? Okay, yes, we are. Okay, so the team told me that they have some goodies underneath some selected seats. So if you are that lucky person or persons, you might have something. So I think it's time for us to just stand again. We have to be balanced. We're a very healthy environment here. We promote and ensure that, our partners, customers, everybody is in tune with their health and wellness. So yes, please kindly check under your seat. If you did not find anything, that means you did not get to. So don't ask. You can ask. See, in fact, my guy is here. My group head is here. So you can ask her. Our group head is here. You can ask her if you did not find something. But she's been magnanimous enough to give to at least some people in the room. So please check underneath your seat if you will find something. We have some Access Bank branded giveaways underneath your seat, not the table. Mommy is checking under the table. Is it under the table or their chairs? Lift the pad up. You might find. If anyone finds, please. Hey, you people put me. Okay, she found. Pray. Oh, he's found as well. Okay. Anybody? Oh, I'm so sorry, ma. Oh, what did you get? Oh, electric hand. Wonderful. Electric hand. We will see what that means. Okay. Okay. So where are the team? Where the guys? Where are they? So who's going to attend? So okay. If you have a gift, come out. Come out. Hey, DJ. If you have a gift, if you found something, I need you to please come out. You found something. I hope it's not try next time. It reminds me of 7-Up adverts. They will tell you try again next time. But, oh my God, you are. Congratulations. Oh yeah, so where are our lucky winners? Come out, our lucky winners. Come out, our lucky winners.
Hey.
Oh, you can see it.
Don't sleep.
Please
Don't
spread
sleep.
it out.
Wake up.
DJ, let's have some music. Thank you. Hey, we are lucky winners. Oh my God. Let's take a quick line and display your gift. You see? Congratulations. Is this everyone? Anybody else? Anybody else? Laptop bag, fan. Okay now. Anybody else? Oh wow, wonderful. Our group head. All our winners are here. Okay. Okay, can we have the gift? Can we have the gift to present to them? Can we have the gift very quickly? Congratulations to all our winners. Let's see, what did you win? Fan, awesome. I was expecting $1 million, you know, like Forex or tax holiday, you know, something like that. Awesome. So we have fan. Oh, awesome. We have fans, we have power bank, we have lunch box, we have towels, we have laptop bags. Awesome. We have electric hand. Okay. Congratulations. You can make your way to your seat after you receive your gift. Congratulations. Where are the remaining gifts? Electric hand. It's coming. Let's move closer. Oh, your electric hand and fans. Power bank. Okay, let's draw closer. Let's be dancing. We are winners. They did not win. Let's do what's the name for them? Let's do shakara for them. Now, we should not rub it in. He said, let's not rub it in. Okay. Thank you for being so kind. And for all our online participants, please note that we've picked randomly and given airtime to them so that they don't feel left out of this. So for all our online participants, the winners online have gotten airtime. Please acknowledge. Let's know if you're part of those who have gotten that online. Just indicate and let's see you. Congratulations. Winnie. Hey. Congratulations. Our online audience, we can't hear you. Congratulations, ma. Congratulations to all our winners. Please let's put our hands together for them. I know if you did not win, that kind thing can pain. How did they say it? That kind thing can pain, but better luck next time. That's what they say. You say? It's so painful, you know. I remember those days they used to do that thing with the crown cork. You will open and open and open and open. You just, now wow, who they win this prize now? But thankfully we saw today now that they are real winners also. That's what we are at Access Bank. We promise and we make good on our promises. Okay, so it's time for our engagement session. Okay, I'm sure the winner is still very angry. Did someone win on this table? Okay, she won. Awesome. Okay, great. Sorry, the gift cannot still be shared, so the winner takes it all in this case. Okay, so this is the part where I know that many of us have been itching to be a part of. This is where we want to hear from you. We want to answer your questions. We want to be able to address, the people who've come here have spoken from their own experiences. They've spoken from what the policy is. They've spoken from their engagement with the market. But the real market, we want to know, we want to hear from you. And we're going to be inviting our panelists upstage who will join us today to facilitate answer your questions or attempt to answer your questions based on their own first-hand experiences and engagements. Okay, so I'd like to call first of all on stage today to the panel session. I'd like to call the founder and CEO of Alezo, Mr. Adewale Opaleye. Where's Mr. Adewale? Can we give our hands? Put our hands together for Mr. Adewale. Thank you. Mr. Adewale Opaleye is the founder and CEO of Alezo Limited, a visionary leader recognized with the FinTech Personality Leadership Prize for his innovative work in transforming Nigeria's informal retail sector. That is one very active sector. If you hear the numbers that come out from that place, you will wonder, like, wow. And you are all the active players in that space. So it's important that we hear from people like him how they're doing it, what they're doing in that sector to transform it. He has a background in computer science from South China University of Technology, and he leverages technology to provide solutions in inventory management, financial services, and logistics. You definitely want to hear from him. He enhances with his solutions operational efficiencies while driving economic growth for business. He empowers informal retail sector with technology innovations and contributing significantly to our economic development. Welcome, Mr. Opaleye. We look forward to hearing from you. Welcome. I'd like to call on stage the next panelist, who is Mr. Boniface Obieze. The CEO is a multifaceted CEO. He's the CEO of Ringo Telecommunications Limited, ODL Telecommunications Limited, and Apro Technologies Limited, Triple Limited. You are welcome, sir. Please, let's put our hands together for him. Very well, very well, very well. Mr. Boniface Obieze is a highly accomplished entrepreneur known for establishing a robust portfolio of businesses within the telecommunications and ICT sectors. He currently serves as the Chief Executive Officer of Ringo Telecommunications Limited, ODL, and Apro Technologies Limited, amongst others. With over 3 decades of outstanding leadership and extensive entrepreneurial expertise, he is widely recognized as a prominent business leader of our era. He is a graduate of business administration from the Abia State University, and he has further honed the skill at the Lagos Business School and other international seminars. He enjoys to play golf and cherishes his role as a husband and father. Please, let's put our hands together for this incredible leader. Thank you very much, sir. We welcome you. I'd like to call on another gentleman who was here before. I'm sure many of you are itching to ask him your questions. Please, let's put our hands together as we welcome Mr. Orishejimi Ogbobine, the head of consulting at Augusto Consulting. Please, let's put our hands together for him till he gets here. He has spoken with such wit and, insight. Thank you so much, Mr. Jimmy. I know, as you are fondly called, I said, Mr. Jimmy, please. Mr. Jimmy, you are here. You will Jimmy us today, by all means. Thank you very much for that. I'd like to also welcome on stage our last but by no means least, Mrs. In fact, I'd like to first acknowledge, I came in this morning and I saw her beautifully seated. Please, can we put our hands together for her? She was here at the dot of a time that she was called. It's evident that she indeed is a woman who stands by her word. I'm not playing favoritism for women, no, please. Oh. I'm just acknowledging when a woman does it well and does it right, please, let's give it to her. This is the Coordinating Managing Director of Technology Distributions Limited, a seasoned business professional with extensive experience in the ICT sector. Please let's make welcome Mrs. Chioma Chimere. Please put your hands together for her. Thank you. Please have your seat. Media, do we have a microphone? Okay, thank you very much, all our panelists. Now, I know we have questions already. If we do have questions, can we signify by raising our hands so I know how to get into this? Okay, please, let's see. Questions. Okay, I know that questions will come up as we get into the game. But very quickly, in 1 minute, I'd just like you to speak, on the business of technology and how you're driving that innovative change in your sector, especially the informal sector. Thank you. Please go ahead. 1 minute.
Right. Thank you very much for having me here. My name is Ade from Olorzo. So basically what we do at Olorzo is we connect manufacturers and brands with retailers. Normally in the Nigerian markets, retailers will have to shut their store, go to central market, buy from a distributor, and all those things. So what we had to do is to build infrastructures from ground up. So we bought over 500 delivery vehicles. We rented multiple warehouses, and then we partner with manufacturers and distributors, stock the product, and then distribute to retailers. And we started off by doing it for free, and because of the fuel crisis, we started charging about 300 naira per delivery fees. So retailers that work with us can order for basic stuff they want. We deliver to their store, 300 naira, and we also offer them banking services like loans and bookkeeping softwares to manage their business. So that's pretty much what we've done, and we've seen like tremendous growth in our retailers' performance. Majority of them are actually pretty profitable, and if you look at the current reports on the informal space, majority of businesses shut down within months. And we've had retailers that work with us actually survive for 3-4 years and counting. And that's pretty much what we're doing.
Thank you very much. Thank you, absolutely. Okay, so you want to speak to your business space so that the people in the room can know how, and what kind of question they can also address to you. Thank you. You are a tripartite CEO in technologies and ICT, telecommunications. So please speak to your business and how you're navigating in this space especially. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, ours is telecommunications, and we are one of the pioneer partners to all the mobile network operators. We started out with what we have like franchise from all of them, where we have a touch point where their subscribers could work in and get service. So we have taken our in-depth knowledge of their systems and services, have a trained staff and workforce to be able to represent the brands and be able to fulfill their promises to their subscribers over the years, now about 22 years. And then on the other side of the business, we do distribution, which originally started with the recharge card we know that used to have colors on it, to logical airtime where we take the pins and convert them and then be able to sell them physically. But over time, we have to digitalize and have all this online, whereby you can buy either through your bank accounts, via app, or on web. So that's been the innovation lately, because like the speakers said earlier, driven by COVID, the cashless and all that. So we saw this massive migration to digital. So before then, we've been building the systems too, and that made us ready for that market when it evolved. On the other hand, also, Apple Technologies is a technology company that develops solutions for businesses. So what we do is to dimension your business and look at the needs and see how, in this case, for instance, we're discussing distribution. We could look at what your business requires and customize solutions to that need and build it specifically for you. But what we've seen over the years is that the growth of business is dependent on the ability of that business to identify the needs that could, be whatever could meet their need now and in the future, and prepare ahead of time to provide that solution to enable their business to maximize such opportunities before it even arises.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Mr. Jimmy, do you need introduction? I think the people in this room probably already know you, except our newbies. Yes, please. Please, just a quick one.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. TD Africa is in the business of empowerment. We've been in business for 25 years, and we are Africa's ICT distributor. So we have in our basket all of the global brands, Microsoft, Cisco, HP, Huawei, and all of them. So we are in the business of bringing in these products as distributor and then making it available to the entire market. So everyone who's selling phones at Otigba or selling laptops in the retail space is probably getting their products out of TD Africa. So that's what we do, basically.
Awesome. Thank you. Very succinct. Okay, so we are opening the floor now to your questions. I know we had some hands here and would like to know. So questions now. I know we had someone who had raised their hand here. Okay, then. Please, sir, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Philip Ogufo. My question will likely go to Mr. Jimmy, and I would like him to answer this question. Then you said so many things when you are talking about inflation, the interest rate, the exchange rate, and you're giving us a reason why the government is increasing the interest rate and the impact on the various businesses and things like that. But you did not mention in any way what are the kind of subsidy that the government is giving back to the Nigerians that will help them even after removing the fuel subsidy, knowing the impact on the entire Nigerians. Which public goods can you tell us that the government is subsidizing when you are comparing with the global world? If you look at the US government, for instance, they have a lot of subsidies on good roads, and the economy is being driven by energy and things like that. So can you please tell us which public goods can Nigeria benefit from this present government? And my second question will be subject on tax, when maybe to the prof, probably. If you look at this business, you discover that majority of the distributors that are here, or this retail business, they are likely to have a very huge turnover, because depending on where you fall in, if you are in the provision sectors and whereby you are selling all these consumer goods, you are likely to have increased turnover. But at the end of the day, that's something that's something that you're going to have a very good profit at the end of the day. But then if you look at, if you prepare your financial statement and you're about to pay tax, even though where you made laws, you're bound to pay 0.5% as the minimum tax to the government. I did one recently, and I discovered that when I compare with the profit, it's actually a loss to the business. Then how do you help this kind of retail businesses when it is already mandatory that you are paying 0.5% on your turnover, and your profit at the end of the day is less than 0.3%? Then I have the last question. This one is subject on withholding taxes. You talk about the withholding taxes, that for a company that has less than 25 million turnover, is exempted for withholding tax. But there are some companies that we are dealing with that if you deduct withholding tax at source from your invoices, and at the end of the day, by the time you aggregate your turnover at the end of the day, you are less than 25 million. How do you get those refund? Is there anywhere government will refund anybody on this table and things like that? If you permit me, I have one other question.
No, sir, let's allow other people, please.
Okay,
thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so Mr. Jimmy, I think the first question speaks to some of the public goods and all that. So please go ahead with that.
Thank you very much, sir.
I would just say that it was intentional not to speak on what the government is doing. If you all recall at the beginning of the presentation, we had said that the key takeaway here is we need to recognize two things. First, these are tough times. But secondly, to recognize that there are still opportunity spots and growth areas in these tough times. And how do we walk away with a good knowledge of the economic background that has presented these tough times, but also have a clear understanding of the opportunities as they emerge and as they present themselves. So we're also very careful at Augusto when we have events like this, and then we start to speak so much on the government, because it sort of diverts attention away from the opportunity spots, which is what we want you to focus on. Okay? So we want you to leave here remembering the growth areas that you've been pointed at. We pointed to you in certain growth areas, telling you what technology can help you with, pointing out even the risks we've highlighted to you, telling you how you can mitigate these risks. Okay? So it was very intentional, sir. But nevertheless, I'm tempted to accept the question, okay, having explained why we didn't approach it. And sometimes we get asked this question and I wouldn't even say the government, what does Nigeria do for its people? But I'll tell you one thing. Anyone here who was born in the 70s, 80s, and into the 90s, and probably did attend a public school, especially at the higher institution level, you probably did attend a subsidized school. So if you're a graduate and you attended a public higher institution, then you probably did attend a subsidized school. And one of the reasons why Nigerians are thriving abroad is because of two major things. We speak English as our business language, and the Nigerians thriving abroad, many of them have the skill set and education. If you see a Nigerian doctor who went to any school in Nigeria and is abroad, especially in a country like America, his medical doctor peers have student loans of hundreds of thousands of US dollars. He has student loan of 0. So they are both not starting at the same level. So by the time the Nigerian doctor earns his first dollar as a salary, he's not paying any student loan on it. By the time that American-born doctor earns his first dollar in salaries, he's having to pay so much in student loans and has so many years, except he hits a jackpot, to clear up these loans. So it's one of the niche, salient things that we do not realize we have in this country. Okay? We overproduce graduates, in quotes. We overproduce graduates. But if we see ourselves like the way India sees itself as an exporter of human capital. When India produces graduates, they know that this country cannot create jobs for all these graduates. But you know what? Go to any prosperous country in the world today, and the Indians are the technology end of that economy. They are the ones driving technology in every prosperous country, every country that is competitive in technology. So one of the things we need to say ourselves as a country is that we talked about oil exports, isn't it, when we had our conversation. But if we had to take this conversation to the next level, one of the biggest exports of this country is human capital. We need to see human capital as a key resource, as a key competitive edge of Nigeria, okay? And because we have cheap university education, it helps us become competitive with our human tool.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you. He asked questions around taxes. I don't know if you want to tackle that, or I can just take the microphone to Prof to quickly address it, saying that they turn over less than 25 million and they're still charging.
Thank you. That question is very apt, because a lot of people face that challenge of paying the minimum tax based on your turnover. And those who fall victim most are perhaps those who are not even preparing their accounts, and then they allow the tax authorities to be the one coming after them to say, okay, you don't have records, but we are going to use your turnover based on what we can see on your bank accounts, and then they charge you the minimum tax of 0.5%. So my advice on that, even though part of the recommendation of the committee is to find a way to align these and be very specific about what we need to do. But my advice is, because we are here, just like Jimmy said earlier, that look, do we even prepare budgets? Do we keep proper records of our businesses? Where you don't keep records, you are shortchanging yourself. Do you file when you are supposed to file? Where you don't file, and then you allow the authorities to be the one to come after you, then they feel you are hiding something. But you have your records, and you have filed appropriately that, look, at the end of last year, I made the following losses and the rest like that, and those records are there. It will be difficult for anybody to begin to, except they want to come and do an audit. So the situation is such that, look, when we come clean, some of these things we won't probably face it at all. The second area is the area of issue of withholding tax refunds. And if you look at the new withholding tax framework that has just been assented to, you see that there are a lot of clarity relating to issue of how you get your refunds and what you need to do to claim them and the rest like that, which were not very clear, you know, in the old law. But what is coming out now is things that state it clearly how to go about, you know, reclaiming what has been charged to you and the rest like that. The bottom line is that apart from the fact that you have been exempted, if let's assume your business qualifies to be exempted from charging withholding taxes, the one that you have paid elsewhere, you can also reclaim. So I think that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you. I think he's probably still wondering what's the process for reclaiming, but you can add, Ma.
Okay. Thank you, sir, Prof, and also Jimmy. But let me quickly add. When he spoke, he talked about the fact that by the time he takes care of his tax liabilities, there will be nothing left. He would have gone into a negative position. Let me say that every one of us in this room, retailers, distributors, we are middlemen. And because we are middlemen, we run the risk of being wiped off. Somebody can wake up in the evolving economy and consider us no longer relevant, and they'll take us out. Somebody can wake up and think that our business model doesn't quite meet what they need, and they'll take us out. What it means is that we need to keep evolving the way we are doing the business. And beyond that is that you have to keep your eyes on the profit. The terrain today doesn't allow you to be profitable. So it's a deliberate thing for a middleman like us to put the eyes on the profits. And two things you can do to ensure that when you meet those tax liabilities, you're not in a negative position, is to watch your costs. Prof has spoken to us about keeping records, and Jimmy talked about it. If you don't have the records, you don't have what it is. You can't change it. So if we're asked today, what are your top 5 expenditures? What's eating the business money? Do you know? Such that you can go back and tweak it. Secondly, he talked about theft. Are you keeping records digitally? Because if you're not, somebody's going to touch the books and steal your stock. And that will affect the cost of doing business. You would not have any profits. And thirdly is What about you? Are you re-engineering? Are you refocusing? Are you changing the dynamics of your business? They've spoken to us a lot about doing something online, expanding the breadth, expanding the number of people we are reaching and who are reaching us. If we don't do these tiny things and then leverage on the people you are buying from, you have a supplier, somebody who's manufacturing, who most of the time they have more profits than we do, even if they don't say so. They have incentives for us that we need to get for doing certain things. Do you have your eyes on those? Because that front-end profit cannot really be big. It's going to be white. But if you look at what happens at the back, for placing your order at a particular time, for paying in a particular way, for reporting, whatever it is, that would give you the much needed profit that you need. Because taxation is real. I think we should just make a provision for it and know that we're going to be taxed. After taxation, what's left? So I just wanted to chip that in.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ma, for that insight and for that contribution. And of course, thank you, Prof. and Mr. Ogwobine. I have a quick, still on tax matters. Okay, my next question was coming to you. We have a few questions online, then I'll come to you in a moment. But please go ahead in 1 minute as well.
I think, I would like to talk about the cost, right? Because that's what the majority of businesses get wrong.
Absolutely.
If your revenue is estimated to be about ₦1 million, and that is just your 1 month rent, then you're literally back to zero, right? So we've seen a lot of businesses, for example, you rent an entire, let's say if you're a distributor, you rent a warehouse of 1,000 square meter, your turnover per month is probably like 10 million, distribution margin is pretty small, right? So if you've incurred a lot of expenses trying to set up infrastructure, we've seen people who want their warehouse, their store to be top standard that they can share with friends, and their friends will come in and be like, wow, is this really nice, But you'll probably never make that much profits to cover all those costs that you've invested, right? At the end of the day, it's not just about taxes and how much you pay on taxes. You need to look at your investment, right? Do I have to invest this much money into setting up this stuff? How much will I make in return, right? If you get that right, then you can start looking at all other associated costs like
Absolutely. You're very correct, because taxes also don't just spring up from somewhere. They come from the cost that you're incurring and your input. Thank you very much for that. But my next question is for you, coming from online. We have, how can retailers, distributors leverage technology to improve operational efficiencies and reach more customers? I know that he's spoken about it in his presentation, but you are in the market. Now tell us, and we're also going to come to you, madam. So let's have you go first.
Yep. So I think, you said something earlier during his speech. Before COVID, right? You see, typically majority of this stuff is actually offline. People come down to your warehouse to do some transactions, and you make your sales, and that's it. When COVID happened, it changed everything, right? All stores are closed except for maybe some few grocery stores that were allowed. Even the few grocery stores, they had to find ways to survive. And it changed the entire paradigm of everything, right? So at the end of the day, businesses now, I think to survive, you probably need to have some sort of online exposure. And because consumer spending has dropped, you probably need to sell to more customers now to make the same sales that you originally would normally do in a day. And the only option is for you to adopt one thing or the other, right? And I think, it's the basic stuff that we've always thought about is it's so easy, right? Everyone has access to Facebook. Put some stuff, it doesn't have to be a fancy logo, just take a picture of your store, ABC warehouse or ABC store, whatever start talking to people, right? I think that I think is the first step to do some things. We're not really there yet. My background is from China. I spent a couple of years there, and virtually every business is actually pretty much online. You see a very old woman who has a small, phone, and is texting her kids on WeChat, trying to buy stuff online. Nigeria is pretty much not there yet, but we actually, we're pretty much close to where I think is the starting point, so to say. And the basic things that our advice is like start off somewhere, WhatsApp, Facebook, and all those things. And from there, you have to look beyond the belief that people will come to your store to buy, right? Because our own business, for example, we work with a bunch of distributors and manufacturers, and a huge part of our distributors, typically don't have to show up in their warehouse anymore because we take off every single thing they do and we redistribute to all these retailers. We distribute to about 50,000 retailers in a single month, and I can tell you for a fact, none of these people step out of their store, right? So if majority of distributors that we work with don't bank with, literally like partner with us to take their products into the last mile, they probably would never be able to sell to all these 50,000 customers, right? So you need to start somewhere. And I know there is a bit of like struggle between, okay, do I trust anything online? Will I get defrauded? You talked about accepting digital payment. We've seen a lot of fraud, people making fake transfers and all those things, right? But you have to look beyond the negative part and actually look at the positive part of it, right? Like leaving your house and going to store safely is not guaranteed. So, but you have to do it anyways. So the fact that there is a positive part of doing some things, you probably just have to give it a try. And with the way Nigeria is right now, and like if exchange rates keep going the way it is, businesses, a majority of businesses will probably have to shut down. We've seen a lot of distributors who are probably now a retailer because the capital they're using to run their business has dropped. You previously buy an entire truckload, now you can't even afford half a truck, right? So you probably have to, adjust, right? But for those that probably wants to be stable, you need to actually widen your customer base, and it starts from somewhere. Hopefully Nigeria gets to a point where there is most likely a trading platform where all distributors and co can come onto, and they all sell to like a wide range of customers, and there can be a negotiation, like functionalities and all those things. But what's important is just start somewhere. Facebook, WhatsApp, doesn't have to be a fancy picture. Just put your phone number there. Tell people to reach out to you, connect to you. And at the end of the day, be respectful. If someone calls you, the price doesn't work, be like, well, I'm sorry, I can't do this now, but, maybe we can do this way. It's not like, well, I can't do that price and that's it, right? Get out of my store, or like, don't text me again, or all those things. So I think if we do that,
Thank
there
you.
would be a positive.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'd like you to speak, Mr. Boniface Obiezeza. You are, will pass as a veteran in the industry. You've done it over and over again. How have you continued to manage through regulations, regulatory requirements, and all of that, even as a retailer in your own space? How have you navigated that?
Right. Our business is more of enabling businesses. That's where we have a greater chunk of our business. The only retail we do is in the franchise outlets, actually. And because they are branded outlets, we have about 15 of the big ones and then 16 of the smaller ones. Our products are vetted up front. Airtime is vetted at point of purchase. So the only thing we pay is just on our service fees, which is pretty straight. Okay, so by keeping good records, you make the right remittances and trying to avoid penalties, because those are also avoidable burdens. So we have found that very seamlessly easy. And the other aspect of online, currently we don't do much online, like on e-commerce, but we have an app. So that an app you can get airtime, data, and be able to pay utilities. Okay. So we haven't actually promoted that aggressively. We've seen huge opportunities to do that. It's in our 2025 plan. But we've been so consumed, like occupied with enabling businesses that's grown so much and become so much, there's so much demand and new products we're coming up with doing that, and we've seen it's huge. So, but if I think of it and why we want to grow retail in 2025, is because as the cost is increasing, you find that need to retain more of the margins. Because the more layers you have, the more you share. Okay, so what we've done currently is giving a greater chunk of the income, the profit to the likes of Access Bank by enabling their time sales on USSD and stuff. But we're partnering with them. We'll continue to do that. We're also looking at being able to have that B2C outreach, which of course I will also advise every distributor here to try to do. Look at ways to, you can't cut off the middleman. Let's not see them as like a monster, because it also saves you cost. Okay, you go through that channel, but it's good to have multi-channels if you can manage that well.
Thank you very much for that. She has a question. You can hold. We have a question from you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Inyo Bongo Twekong. I'm very grateful to be in this forum, and I'm saying a big thank you to Access Bank for putting together this forum. This is my first time. The topic, Discover the Future of Distribution. This is my question to everyone. Mrs. Shama, you have talked about how it is possible to eliminate the middleman. And when you said that, that was my question. The integration of technology, digital technology, has changed the dynamics of the retail business. And there is a tendency that the middleman can totally be eliminated. Alexo is doing something, bridging the gap between manufacturers and would get to the end users. So the middleman would certainly not be needed over time once technology is integrated into distribution. So my question is, what should we be doing as distributors to retain the ecosystem? Should this ecosystem be deleted? Or is there something we as distributors should be thinking and doing? Because 10 years down the line, Access Bank may not have this forum if the middleman is eliminated. My second question, please, is on taxes. Professor, please, I want to find out, as concerning the reforms that are ongoing, presently I'm discussing with my consultants, as a distributor, what should be my revenue? Is it the entire turnover I have in a year? Or should my revenue be calculated based on what actually comes to me? Because if I talk about my entire turnover, it's enormous. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
All right.
So please go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the question. My response would be that we look at being just distributors and move up to being a value-added distributor. The OEMs or the suppliers, the manufacturers that have appointed you distributor today have a need that you are meeting. So it's not just that they like your business face or they want to do you a favor. They have a business need that you are meeting. For some of them, it is that you're able to provide them money. So you pick goods and they know you will pay, even if they give you on credit. They've looked at your company and they consider you able to meet those liabilities. So they appoint you distributor. They know that they're not able to handle the number of people you're handling today. So instead of selling to 10 million people, they will sell to 100 distributors and have the 100 distributors sell to those 10 million people. It pays them because it reduces their risks and they're able to manage just 100 people. So what I would ask is, the people that are supplying you today, those manufacturers that you are working with, what is their need? What need are you fulfilling? Is it a bread need? So are you able to take their products to the ends where they cannot go themselves? Is that why you are distributor or retailer for them? Or are you able to sell to people and maybe offer credit to your ecosystem that they are not able to do? Identify what that need is. Once you identify it, it helps you to be able to do it well, such that in the process of elimination, you don't go quickly. Secondly, is the fact that those manufacturers are not going to be standing still. They are going to also be evolving. Be sure you are evolving with them, such that you will know what their next move is and what their next need will be, and you tweak to be able to meet it. That's why we keep stressing on technology. Not just what he has said as Alexo, how you put yourself out there, very important. It's also for your internal consumption. Today, there's a lot of detail that you find in the retail business. So where is that detail stored? Is it in your head? We should be thinking about strategy. Because the world we're in today has become a knowledge world. So you need to take the mundane things off you and put it in technology, such that you can then begin to add more value, have more strategy for value, which is what will give you relevance. So you will know when to move. When the cheese has moved, you would know not to stay there and then you just move on.
Very true.
That's what I think.
Thank you very much for that. Very apt. Thank you so much. I hope she answered your question. Please, on tax. Thank you.
Thank you for that question, and I'm going to answer that question from experience. My late dad was a distributor, and when I was in the university in the 80s, he came home one day very excited, very happy. He had made sales then of about 7 million naira, and after cost of goods sold of about 5 million naira, was excited that he has 2 million naira left. So happy that the whole family knew that something happened that day. And while we were discussing, I told him, you have not made profit, sir. That 2 million naira, the warehouse you are using, you are the owner of the house, the 3 floors are rented, but the ground floor, the entire ground floor is your warehouse. And you don't pay anything because it's your own. So that if you have rented it out, it will have earned you some income. So that is a cost that you must charge to what you have left here. I said, you don't pay yourself anything as salaries. You just dip your hand into the money as it comes. So why not place yourself on salary? And you have about 4 or 5 boys working for you who are family members. Maybe your cousin, and then you probably don't pay them anything. But they eat on you, they feed on you, they sleep in the house and all of that. By the time we finish that discussion and we put everything, on paper, he realized for the first time that, look, the way he has been, relating his business and thinking that he makes profit is actually not right. And from that day, I became his accountant, because he come back every day and then he will tell me what has happened, and then we will keep the record. That's the issue of trying to think your turnover is your income, or what you have after the turnover when you have, paid the cost of goods sold is your income. No, there are other costs that if you don't, and that's the issue of keeping proper records that you have just, if you don't have those things, you say because, you are still small, or it's all your business, have the format in such a way that you record this thing regularly. Even when you are making profit, or when you are making losses, you will know clearly. You don't need, and yes, the accountant or the consultant may just give you the guide, but the consultant will not be with you every now and then. You must have a format of keeping your records properly, and you'll be able to see your bottom line. So your turnover is not your income. It's turnover. It's what you have, the value of what you have sold. And it has a cost, right? Which are the direct one and the indirect one. And if you don't charge all those costs, you can't even be talking about making income or making profit as a business. Because that's where sometimes you get it wrong. And that's why the issue of not keeping proper records had encouraged the revenue service to say, okay, we'll be charging you minimum tax of 0.5%. How did they come about that? They just wanted to solve the problem of you not paying anything. If everybody had kept their record, that will not come up at all. So I think that aspect of record keeping, and our banks can actually help. This kind of forum that is being held now, you know, is one value that they are trying to add to our businesses. They can also do a simplified, you know, accounting application on the bank's platform that is customized to the bank and is made available to their clients that they can actually use to keep their records. They are adding value in one way or the other. And like I said, some little charges on some of those things, we won't even feel it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that last line. In fact, is the most critical. Yes, we will build the enhanced value add, and then the last line on, you know, the little one that we will not notice. We are still part of it all. Yes, thank you. I know you do have a question, but I have a question here around. Can you share an example on a successful collaboration between distributors and retailers that has created new opportunities? And in your experience, what is the biggest challenge that distributors face when trying to adapt to the new market dynamics? Mr. Jimmy, and between you, Mr. Boniface, and everyone,
Okay.
But we have to make it brief so we can allow others. Thank you.
Okay. There have been several successful collaborations between distributors and retailers. There are a lot in the IT space where we function. So many. I'm not sure if he wants names or examples, but there are a lot of people who are retailing IT products who have to leverage on the distributor's ability to give them stock and also to allow them to access that stock on credit, and then work with them to make it available in line with what he said. Put it out there so that people can see it, access it, and use it. Yeah?
Okay.
So there are a lot of them, a lot.
Okay, so what about the challenge around adapting? Mr. Jimmy can touch on that. Thank you.
Okay. I think the challenge around adapting is one of the biggest risks we've seen from lots of research we've done on small businesses is that's key person risk. How much you as an entrepreneur, we heard what Prof just said. It took a lot of humility for his father to say, my son whom I sent to school is now my teacher. It took a lot of humility for his father to say, be my accountant. I'll subject myself to your accountability as my son. And that's a big deal because that's in the 80s. Nigerian fathers in the 80s were never accountable to their children. Okay? How much more? So, how much as entrepreneurs are we ready to subject ourselves to that discomfort of change? Either from, you've opened this business up to family, the children you sent to school. We have a running joke in the office of how parents send their kids abroad, bring the kids back into the business, and then remind the kids that I sent you to school. I didn't send you to come and teach me anything, okay? And so we have cases of kids who quit from their parents' businesses, okay? Because look, just run it, it's your business. You trained me in school, I thank you. Let me go and use my education to pursue my path. So as entrepreneurs, we must be ready. That mindset, it's all here. We must be ready to open up, to allow ourselves adapt to change, okay? Which can bring some level of personal discomfort. One of the key things we didn't mention when we talked about managing spending, for instance, is commingling. You commingle personal funds with business funds. Subjecting yourself to accountability means there has to be separation of both, okay? So that's why I said it can create some level of discomfort because you're the biggest man in your village And that's because you just dip your hands into the business funds and you run things. Now we are saying separate them. That's what it means by managing spending. Because like she rightly said, when we talk about the 5 biggest cost points on your business, you'll be shocked that you are the biggest. Okay? So, and that's what commingling leads to. So I think that's very important.
Thank you. Okay.
Something else about adapting in our times, which has to do with the 3 indices that he shared with us. So the rates are moving. So the cost of what you're selling is moving. We as distributors and retailers in this time, we need to know about that cost that is moving. So you have stock that you are keeping, which you bought at a particular price. Then you have what you sold, which people have not paid you back the money. So it's debt. You also have some money you've received and you've put it in the bank. When you look at these 3 aspects of your business, which one do you think is able to preserve the value you have today? The money in the bank is losing weight, he told us. The debts you gave, they haven't paid, is also losing weight. But around the stock is where we can preserve ourselves. Because I noticed that some people will say, oh, I bought this last month at 1,000. I bought the new stock at 1,002. And then they tell the people in the shop, that one we bought 1,000, sell it 1,001. The one we bought 1,002, sell it 1,003. Now, what are you going to do with that money that you are selling at 1,001? It will never be able to replace your stock, ever. So, as a distributor, as a retailer, your stock is what you own. That's the part that you can preserve. So whether we bought it last month or we bought it this month, you need to look at the cost of replacing the stock as you price so that you can price right. That is one key adaptation strategy that we need to all do as retailers and distributors in these times. I just wanted to mention that.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Very instructive. Yes, we can clap for that very... Thank you. Please, we just direct to the question so that we can take others. Thank you.
Okay, good morning. My name is Folake Agbaje. And interestingly, the question I was about to ask is what Jamie just addressed towards the end. My greatest worry at this time, I mean, luckily I have a corporate experience before coming into distribution, and we're able to keep a level of record and, do some things on our ERP and get it right. But the greatest challenge is skill set. So here we are, like you said, it's a one-man business, and scaling up is quite challenging if you don't have the right support. So you have this data, but here you are, you're looking for accountants, you're looking for data analysts, you're looking for people to do this back office for you, and sir, they are not there. You have this older generation that you have comfort and trust with, and then you get the younger generation, they don't have the work culture, and you don't have a level of trust, comfort with them. So sir, I can't remember your name. I don't know how you are coping, you're growing. I can see TD2 is moving up, there's TDI Life, TD Africa, and all that. So for me, I'm thinking, what do I need to do to be able to get this data, take the right decision, and move to the next thing? It could be in distribution, it could be in other business, but here I am, I'm tied down with all this back office activity that I don't want to lose money. I don't want it to drain away. At the same time, I'm not able to move out to do more of sales, to do more of new venture and all that. I don't know if it's the Nigerian challenge or maybe I'm just the only one having. That's my question.
But it's real. It's not. I'm sure it's not unique or peculiar to you. Please, let's take the second question before we ask, so we can just take the two together. Thank you. And let's be quick with the question. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. My question is to Mr. Okpale. By the way, you remind me of Steve Jobs. So, a quick one. We all know distribution margins are small. And the rising cost of redistribution is strangulating. Most of the retailers are unable to even buy the volume they used to buy prior to this time. I'm curious to ask, do you think your business model will drive the traditional distribution out of business? And if so, how many do you think your own kind of business, we can adopt it? And if you're doing that, what kind of technology do you think we can use? Forget Facebook and all those other general ones. I mean, maybe something in the ERP one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we take the two questions. Hers first, speaking to resource.
So I would like to address, speak to that, ma'am. What I've seen over the years, having been a distributor for over 30 years, is that as you scale, you have to appropriately factor in the cost of the competencies you require in your business. Otherwise, you're going to stress yourself out. So you have to recognize the fact that before you say that a business is profitable, you have identified the resources you need to deliver value. That way you will be able to know if you can afford to pay an accountant $500,000 a month. Now, always also know that the same workforce are accessible to all sectors. So, if you desire to hire a good person, you have to offer a good pay. Not just the pay. Terms of employment, the conditions of employment has to be conducive. So do you have things like pension? Do you have Medicare? Are there some palliatives beyond just the pay? So things that could retain them. For instance, on my employment, I have some people that are over 20 years. So we look beyond just their monthly pay to retirement, to thinking that if this person gives all his or her life to us as a business, what then happens? So by the time you think like that, you will see that even those employees will attract the right kind of skill you need for those. I also like to speak to what the madam there said about, if you just permit me,
Please,
about the relevance of distribution of middlemen over time. What I have seen over the years is that when MTN and the co launched in 2001, we were one of the pioneer distributors. When the banks started coming in, encroaching, wanting to distribute that, we felt threatened. I could recall in those days, as we still have this forum where we said, no, we're going to go to NCC, to National Assembly, to fight this. But at the end, they became our biggest collaborators. And we became more profitable doing business with them rather than fighting them. So what I would advise we do as distributors is to try to identify the values, the right value we could add. First, eliminate that fear. Fear is not good for anything. By the time you are threatened, scared, you're not going to think strategically. Relax and always know that the distribution channel is indispensable. Just like people think of robot AI, they think fear threatening that is going to take the... No, machine can't do what the brain can do because it's programmed. But again, the human person needs to think out of the box and know that, no, I'm not just going to continue to do the same thing that have been done over 20, 30 years ago. In the evolving world now, what should a human be doing? So as distributors, we should also think that way to say, we have to come clear on our value add. Like Chioma said there, those manufacturers do not want to play our role. But again, our role has to be dynamic. We have to figure out that, okay, if you don't know, ask them, where is your business headed to? I mean, if you are a distributor for a key brand, like we do for the telcos, we try to know where they are going. So when they are moving from airtime to data and data to fintech, we have to follow that trend. We started building technology ahead of time, okay? Now, part of the challenges they have in our market is to how to access the rural area. Okay, it's one of our cash cows. Try to identify that they have a challenge here. The people in Lagos that have access to bank account can easily top up. What of that person that is the unbanked in the rural? We started deploying technology for that, and we invested heavily. And it's one of the key areas from where we make good revenue now. So I will advise every distributor to always analyze the ecosystem. Yours will be different from mine, but it's always good to stay ahead and leverage technology. Internal control is also key to keep you in business, for some of those that have had concerns, because it is one area that we really don't watch, and that's where the preferring and all, preferage and all that begin to come and then eat the pie before even you know it. But if you do that, you have enough resource to scale, because you also need to continue to hold enough inventory if you are in inventory management. There must be a clear value they see that you are adding, not to dispense you. Otherwise, they will think of alternative. And that's where you get threatened.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. I picked, you have to come clear on your value add. You have a question, sir. We'll take your question. And I have a question online as well. Oh, she has a question for him. Yes, please. Sorry about that, please.
Yeah. So I think to answer the question, distributors are very important. And I think it's going to be very hard for any manufacturer to run their business without distributors. And platform like ours is not meant to disrupt what distributors are doing. It's not meant to kick them out of the system. But we saw an opportunity, and it's like, manufacturers now in Nigeria are moving away from the traditional way of producing and like selling product to actually realizing there's a lot of data that is required, and a lot of data they can actually get from this space. For example, I won't mention name, but there is a very popular Nigerian beverage manufacturer that sells in huge volume, billions, but a significant part of the product that they ship to Southeast end up in Cameroon, right? And distributors keep selling. Oh, someone wants to buy from me, you keep selling, right? So when we ran the research across like West Africa, we realized that, and we shared that with them, right? And they're like, oh geez, like, is there something we can do? Manufacturers need these data to make decisions. Should they expand into these markets? Should they do this and that? And they're finding it hard, trying to force traditional distributors to change the way they run business, right? Everyone believes, okay, let me open my warehouse, buy this product, run this stuff. But, technology is actually pretty much missing, and that is the opportunity we saw. And what we had to do is to, first of all, work with manufacturers and then work with distributors as well. Take this product off them, because we realized, okay, you want to be opaque, we don't want to force you. Let's do all the entire heavy lifting from where your business starts to the last mile. And then the data from there we can share back with the manufacturers. So for example, today we can tell every manufacturer average turnover on every single box of products that we sell, how frequent do these retailers actually restock, and a bunch of important data that these manufacturers require. So, for distributors to actually, to actually evolve, considering like the current situation of the things, I think everyone needs to just see technology as like a tool to help their business. And I think going forward, it's actually going to be very, very hard for people that have zero technical skills, or let's say zero technical solutions, to survive, because there'll be a lot of expectations outside of you just moving my products down into the market. So, just to summarize, we are not disrupting the market. We work with a lot of distributors. But I think at the end of the day, there has to be a lot of collaborations. For example, we've acquired a lot of delivery vehicles to take products into the last mile. It's actually very expensive for a distributor to do that. We had to raise like venture-backed capital to do that. And at the end of the day, we can't disrupt everybody, right? We're in like 12 states across Nigeria. We about 70% of products we sell are from distributors. And at the end of the day, we're just in here to provide the technical tools that distributors find very hard to do, and they're like, well, I don't have the capital for it, or I don't have the skill set for it. So I think, distributors, ourselves, everyone in this space needs to work together, and it speaks to what they said about collaboration, right? We all need to work together. This is someone's strengths. This is someone's weakness. How can we work together? How can we solve your problem? How can you solve our problem? We can beat distributors. I don't think anyone has that capital to actually disrupt thousands of distributors in the market, unless you probably have a master of SoftBank as your father.
Thank God. Yeah, of course. There's no Ambani in Nigeria yet, so I'm confident. But thank you. You spoke very, very correctly, and also Mr. Boniface and everyone who's on the panel. And we'll just take a last question from him because we need to quickly wrap up and proceed to the next segment. But we must see that disruption is inevitable. You are disrupting in your own way, but enabling as you're disrupting. So is every other business, because like he said, if you're not adapting, the people you're picking from are changing, and if your business isn't changing, you will just be left behind because somebody else would have taken that spot. So please, your question, and then we'll take the last one.
Thank you, Access. My question is basically on tax. Most of these people was shouting on multiple taxation, which I want the professor to say something about it, about this multiple taxation.
Okay.
Concerning our vehicles, our returns, and even the more the government is even charges distributors. I just want to put more light on it.
I think the Prof had spoken briefly about it, but just one last take, and then he can see you after the forum again for more details. Okay, please, Prof.
Well, thank you very much. This issue of multiple taxation had been at the forefront of stakeholders' engagement all through the last 1 year of the committee. And what the committee has proposed, obviously, is going to address it. If you look at what we have presently, you have about 10 or 11 taxes collectible at the federal level. You have another 21 taxes and levies collectible at the state level. And then you have, depending on the local government, you have between 50 and 70 items, collectible at the local government level. That's the present regime, which obviously is not sustainable. Now, the government, through the committee, had collapsed all of this. First is the fact that we have to separate what we call taxes from charges or levies for services and all of that, because there's a misconception of the fact that everything that you pay to the government is a tax, and that's not true. Government also render some services that private organizations also render, like waste, for instance. If they carry your waste, a private company can carry waste for you, and they charge you for it. So that's not a tax. They are rendering a service and you are paying for it. But be that as it may, what the government had done through this committee, which will become implementable very soon, is the fact that all taxes to be paid in Nigeria should not be more than 9. And they are very, very specific. And then who collects what? So you know that this particular tax is Federal Inland Revenue Service I will pay to. This tax, I'm going to pay to my state internal revenue service. This tax is going to be collectible at the local government level, and that's it. So if government is rendering one form of service or the other, which you are not obliged to patronize them because you can do it on your own, and you decide to patronize them, they are going to charge you a fee, for that service. And that also, government is trying to make sure that those charges, which are specific for services rendered, there is a legislation on it that, okay, there should not be any cash transaction relating to them. They have to be done, through technology to reduce these pilferages, leakages, and the rest like that. And they have to be very agency specific. that, oh, I'm going for this service here and this is what I'm going to pay. Although we know that that does not foreclose the fact that, okay, you go to, let's say, a particular agency and they say you are going to pay 100 naira for this and you have paid it online. You may still be exploited to bribe somebody to fast track that thing and pay 200, 300 naira. It's not government that you are paying that money to. You also know. So you know what you are paying to government and it straight goes to government. So what the regime of tax we are going to enter into now is such that we know that we have specific number of taxes and they are very clear as relating to the agencies that will collect them. So this issue of multiple taxes will become a thing of the past.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you. And I know that if we read more on FIRS and some of the things that they're doing, we can definitely get more information from that. And the team, yes, the Access Bank team can also provide some more information to you as it relates to that. There's a question I would like to ask. There's been a lot of conversation around expanding the diaspora market and all of that. I know that Nigeria is a big player in the ACFTA or AFCTA, yes, that. How can we as distributors then begin to leverage the expansion and the opportunities that are possible within that provision for the African market? Just that. And then I want to ask, just to add again, pricing. I thought someone was going to ask a question around pricing. How much price can you shift to the consumer? Because you mentioned, oh, my stock is my power. That is the actual value that I have in hand. Okay, it's grown from 1,000. It was $500 to a naira when I bought it. It was 500 naira to $1 when I bought it. It's 1,700 now. How much really can I shift as a distributor? And how do I then build brand loyalty and retention even in the process of all of this? Yes. So, but we start with expansion into Africa and the diaspora market. What actionable steps can we take as distributors now to do that? Thank you.
Okay. I'll just start off by riding on the back of the story that Alexo had said. He said he talked about a Nigerian beverage company, a big beverage company without mentioning the name, that saw that a lot of their sales in the East, when they ran the numbers, those sales were ending up in Cameroon. Because I have another story as well, and because he said it's beverage, I know it's not the company I spoke with, it's not the same company, because that was a feed milling company, an animal feed milling company, which also said that they were planning to expand to Cameroon, and then as they ran their research, did their homework, they found out that a lot of the sales in the Southeast anyway was ending up in Cameroon as well. Okay, so two different sectors, two different companies from the same platform. So what that means is that a lot of the sales that we think maybe going to the Southeast is ending up in Cameroon. Exactly, it's southeast of Nigeria now. Then I'll give you a second story. Once we had to, at Augusto, we had to go to the Southeast for some field research. And we're in the Southeast, and in Onitsha market, one of the traders we surveyed was complaining so much about the Boko Haram attacks in Borno. That was at the wake of Boko Haram. And after a while, I said, please educate me. You're here in Onitsha, and you're so worried about Boko Haram attacks in Borno. What's the nexus really between your business and Boko Haram issues in Borno? And he said, oh, his sales have slumped as a result of the attacks in Borno. And I said, why and how? Educate me. And he said to me that a lot of the trade that goes on in Borno, which comes from purchases in Onitsha, Borno is a hub of exports, informal exports to other regions. So Borno is the export hub to Niger, Chad, and Cameroon as well. So all of the goods Borno marketers were buying wasn't for Borno. It was for exports to Chad, Niger, and Cameroon. So as Borno slowed down, it had a direct impact on Onitsha, which had a direct impact on Lagos, because the goods in Onitsha were coming from Lagos. Okay? There's a lot of, in quotes, informal exports going on. If you go to Benin, you'd see a lot of the table water from Nigeria in Benin, a lot of Atoletro and things like that. So there's already a lot of informal trades going on. And then I'll share some economic riddle with you. Do you realize that as our currency gets weaker, we become more export competitive? Yes. As our currency gets weaker, then we become more export competitive. We can export more as a country. Okay? So the important thing is, we've all said it here, collaboration. We may not have that capability to get to Cameroon, or to get to Chad, or to get to Benin Republic. But do we have that collaborations with other distributors who have built that route to market? Okay? Because this is a route to market question. The people in the southeast who are going directly to Cameroon, they build capabilities that even the manufacturers themselves are struggling to build. They have the networks that can take their goods to Cameroon. So you may not be able to get to Cameroon, but can you get to the man in the southeast who is getting the goods across to Cameroon? Because he's gone to a market bigger than our original geography. He has expanded the market for us. Okay? So how do we ride on the back of those collaborations? And then in terms of the Nigerian in the diaspora, is also understanding their routes to market. What's their route to market? Through the simple technology platforms, through the simple marketplaces that he spoke to about earlier, the Facebook of this world, the Instagrams, the WhatsApp, and then they deal on one thing. Their currency is referrals. What are people saying? And as you expand more online, digitally, you then begin to see that things like the reference on you, what does it mean? What are people saying about you? Are they saying good? Are they saying bad? You spoke about how do you pick a phone call. You know, when we do business face-to-face, we tend to be a bit rude in the way we manage businesses. But you see, these online generation, they are very finicky. You talk to them anyhow, they go and report you to their community. Rude. And all sorts of comments. So we need that bit of training as well.
They
Okay?
will rate you on Google already.
Exactly.
Your Google review, 1 star or 0 star. But speaking to what you said, I saw something online when I was checking yesterday. There's a guy who does mirrors. He cuts mirrors. I think he's in Yaba. I'm not sure the guy even knows he's online. But from referrals, there are a lot of people who were testifying that, oh, I saw this video some few months ago. I bought my mirrors from him. I bought my mirrors from him. That guy is growing.
Yep.
He probably doesn't even know. He's probably just one small shop like that in Yaba. He does not know that there's a community already building for him. If he was here today, I'm sure that he would know that, okay, I need to go and now establish online version of my mirror and be more deliberate. Thank you so much. Pricing. And I want to learn more. Last question. We really barely have 1 minute, actually. You've done this for 30 years. Brand loyalty and retention. How can we, as distributors, then achieve that? You've done this. You've all done this. So please, pricing first. And let's quickly. 1 minute, please. 1 minute.
All right. Pricing is not a function of our emotions. It's a function of the market. And it's also a function of what we sell. And we want to reiterate the fact that we don't just price. We need to price right. So in as much as your stock is the big part of what you own, it will have to be competitively priced in line with the product that you're selling. Some of us are selling Milo, that's where you have huge turnover and small profit on it. There is a percentage that is acceptable for whatever product that you are selling. So it's to do that while repricing your stock so that that becomes the base. Then you now add that acceptable uplift to it. So that every time that you compare your pricing with people that are competition for you, you would still be at par. So that you don't continue to overprice yourself. There would be times when you want to run a promo for yourself for whatever reason that you've chosen, either because you want to gain followership or you want to get rid of aged inventory or whatever. Or, like he said, you've taken note of the fact that new products are about to come and you still have the old one. You want to quickly get rid of it. That then influences your pricing. But you cannot arbitrarily pass on pricing to the next market segment simply because you're a distributor and you're holding stock.
Thank you so much for that. I'm sure we will take brand retention and brand loyalty, sir. How have you done that, and how can we, by extension, do the same?
Okay, just a quick one on that pricing. My advice will also, in addition to hers, is your cost price is non-negotiable because you need to replenish stock. when exchange rate is depreciating naira and your product is dependent on importation. You have to be very clear on this and follow the trend. Once you see it, be patient and hold on to your stock for a moment. Because that's where the panic is. You want to just keep selling. You can't keep selling in that atmosphere. You have to hold on, let the new price, based on that new exchange rate, kick in. It's important. And that will be when new batch of inventory bought at that new price begins to come in. Because some will still be carried away and sell at the old price. We can't help it. So you don't just follow the trend. If you want to ensure that you're able to replenish the same quantity of inventory, then from there on, you can now do your markup. For me, the consumer determines what the price should be to a large extent. So you should feel your customers to know the options are available. But if it's just because of exchange rate, for me, I would advise you hold on and let the price adjust. Then on brand loyalty, once you represent a brand, my advice is to try to understand the promises of that brand. So you must understand what that brand stands for. And be a true partner. You can't just be a reseller of product without being in tune with that brand. You must breathe that brand. Okay, so you be a good ambassador of that brand. So that way, the manufacturer or supplier, whoever is your source of product that you're representing, will always see your relevance, not beyond just being transactional. You have to also represent that brand in everything. Take, for instance, in our business, one of the key things we do for the telcos is customer acquisition. It gives us the least income, sometimes at a loss. In fact, we subsidize sometimes, but it's a key KPI in our business. But we've seen that for us to really be there for them and for them to see our relevance, we have to keep helping them to manage churn. So doing that, we are representing the brand mission. We know because our shareholders want to see whether their subscriber base is appreciating or depreciating. It's also that kind of representation. So now, at the touch point, that is where it becomes more practical. When you see an irate customer who had been either disappointed by the network because there has been service failure and all that, and it rushes into a service center to meet our customer service reps, he thinks he's talking to MTN, and so you don't try to say, no, we are not the MTN. No, if it's a slap, you receive the slap first without complaining. You have to receive the slap on behalf of MTN. Then you calm the person down. If you fail to do that, you are failing to represent the brand well at that point. That brand loyalty will be eroding. So these are the ways you just try to see that your relevance to that brand continues to be there always.
Thank you so much. Absolutely so inspiring. Thank you for that. And truly, you represent the brand because you really don't by yourself represent yourself. You do represent the brand. Please, can we put our hands together again for our panelists, Mrs. Chioma Chimere, Mr. Orishejimi Ogbobine, and Mr. Boniface so I don't get it wrong. Obieze, yes, exactly. Mr. Boniface Obieze. And the last but by no means least, Mr. Adewale Okpaleye. Please, house, let's put our hands together for all of them. Thank you so much for sharing. Please, we'd like to take a group picture. Mr. Innovator, you are on the speed. Thank you. But please, you should join them. Please join them. Do we have Chizoba in the room? Our lead orchestrator is in the room? Okay, but we can just have a quick picture. Thank you. Where is our photographer? Oh, great. Please, let's have a quick picture. And whilst they're waiting for the photographer, okay, well, the camera is on them. Okay, he's here. He's on his way. So sorry. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, our distributors and valued partners here. We really, truly appreciate the patience that you have given, the time that you have dedicated to be here today. We thank you. We really appreciate you. Again, to stress, this is the Access Bank 2024 Distributors Forum. And our theme for this year is Retail Distribution Business in Africa, exploring cost-effective opportunities within the sector. So we want to say thank you to all our panelist speakers, our keynote speaker, who is the Commissioner, Honorable Commissioner for Commerce, Cooperatives, Trade and Investment for Lagos State, Mrs. Folashade Ambrose Medebe. We also heard from Mr. Orishe Jimmy Ogbobine from Augusto Consulting, and of course from the professor himself, our tax educator, Professor Muritala Awodo. I am going to be handing the microphone over now to our chief host, or our deputy chief host, yes, our chief host, Morenike Oguwolu, who is the group head, value chain.
Exactly. Thank you all. Thank you so, so much. We're so happy and so pleased to have you here. So for the last bit that we're supposed to go into, I heard when Prof was saying that we should do some value-add services and give it to our customers. That we've always done. And you know that the history of Access Bank, we are now a corporation. We are now an ODCO. And the reason why we have that is to encompass all of the businesses that can service you at a point. So Jimmy was talking about payments. He was talking about lending. He was talking about this tax and insurance. And we have all of that in a bucket for you guys, and we're ready. So I'll be calling my colleagues to actually come in and just speak little about all they have. So I just have like 2 minutes for all of them, and you'll be surprised at what we have to actually give to our customers. You know, you're our value customers. We always think about you first. We always think of what will take your business up. We are not just in the business of making profit. We are in the business of scaling your businesses. We are in the business of ensuring that you make profit. I hear a lot about, oh, we are not making profit. Our own distributors make profit too. We make a lot of profit. We ensure that we are in business and we scale up. So Mr. Bonyo Obieze has been a telecoms distributor with us for, sir, I know that 30 years with MTN, maybe like 25 years with Access Bank. So we've been like that. We have so many of them in FMCG. They've been with us for like 25 years. I have a lot of them in our books. And it's not because we are just here to just make money. We are here to ensure that our distributors, our customers understand it. And you realize that this distributor forum has been on, my ED said it has been on since 2018. I could remember, we'll go to regions. We actually do it region by region. Look at the peculiarity of your location and then come to you with solutions. And that is what we've been doing. So we look at what is trending, what we need to do. Our founders are available to actually ensure that we take our business, your business, to the next level. So I call on all our holding companies. So I have hydrogen, which is for payment. I have oxygen, which is for lending. I have the insurance, that is for us, as in you want to insure, you want to have pension for your employees, you want to have that for you, for yourself. We have all that. So I'll call on our ODCOs to come up. Is hydrogen here? Please, can you just come in? Just 1 minute or 2 minutes, just speak to what we have for our distributors and what we are offering. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Precious Onotu from Hydrogen. Basically, Hydrogen is that part of Access Corporation that speaks basically to payments and collections. Today in Hydrogen, we have a suite of collection solutions across the POS. We have virtual account services. We also have a payment gateway for businesses like yours that are structured on the web. We have what we call a payment link. Basically, the payment link speaks to businesses who accept collections but not structured on the web. So today we see the rise of digital shoppers, businesses who have a bit of structure around collections, distributor management, but they don't have that presence or visibility on the web. But they have as much as, should I say, an invoicing system, an inventory management system, just to track their collections. We have these solutions in place to help them optimize their collections and solutions. Additionally, what we've also been able to do at Hydrogen is we understand that reconciliation, it's actually very important to businesses. The ability to track your sales, your purchases, to ascertain what you're spending at a particular time. We've been able to build a robust dashboard that helps you track your collections, that helps you track activities across your businesses. And with this, you are able to ascertain the months you are doing really well and the months you're not doing so well, to help you make informed decisions in your business. We have a payment gateway, and basically payment gateway is a web portal through which businesses who have websites, who have mobile applications, are able to accept collections from their users. The beautiful thing about our gateway today is we're actually the cheapest in the market by virtue of being part of the Access Corporation. And then also we are able to accept collections in local naira, in dollars, and we are also able to avail our customers reasonable concessions on this platform. We have amazing integrations with the processors today. We have CyberSource, we have MPGS. Why we have these connections is we have been able to build some level of multi-faceted integrations with these processors. You are aware that in the market today there is this over-dependence on NIBs, and so we've seen like failures across financial collections in the industry today. But what we've built, we are able to guarantee 100%, or should I say 99.99% transaction success rate across our collection solutions today. So that's what we've done at Hydrogen. We are also here today because we understand that the distribution space is actually very dynamic. What happens to a flour mills distributor may not apply to a Nigerian breweries distributor. So for us, we're also here to gather information from the distributors across the various industries. We're willing to engage you personally to see how best we can build solutions that are tailor-made to what you have today. And seeing that we are a part of the Access Corporation, we want to be able to not just deliver you with financial services, we want to deliver you solutions that cuts across the entire scope of your business and operations. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Precious. I think in a nutshell, what's, okay, sir, you want to, for him. Yeah, come. You can come over. Should we? Let me just have a question. You are heavy.
Good afternoon. My name is Olajide. I have hydrogen POS, and I stopped using it. Why? My manufacturer want to increase price by tomorrow morning. And money paid through hydrogen. You are telling me that I cannot have access to it until after 24 hours or 48 hours. Then, how can I beat that price increase? Because I will not have access to the money paid through the hydrogen.
Precious, very briefly, quick to the point. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So initially when we started at the time, we had 3 settlement windows, 8 a.m., 12 midday, and 4 p.m. And yes, based on the feedback we had received from a number of our customers at the time, we optimized our collection flow. Now we have instant settlement. At the time, we couldn't do instant settlement because we didn't have internal wallets that could enable us hold on to customers' funds. We're not licensed, we're not permitted by CBN to hold on to customers' funds. So we were working with the bank to avail our customer settlements based on Windows. But that is out of the place now. We are currently availing instant settlement to our customers. So we're happy to have you back on our platform to
So we are sorry on that grounds, but now you know that you can enjoy instant access to your money, and we're looking forward to, yes, so further engagement will happen. Please.
Okay, thank you. I think what Precious then, so you know payment is a major source in distribution, and we have actually so over the years, we have done it, and we have had a lot of improvements. So we send that to you, and we'll get back to you on all of that. We are on point with our payment, and you will enjoy it. So I know that a part of the business of most of the distributors here, especially the FMCG, is infrastructure. That is truck financing and warehousing. So we have a part of our corporation as well, which is the consumer loan, that actually speaks to that, and they give competitive rates, terms and conditions. So I will let my colleagues speak to that briefly, and then Amaka will speak to that.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for the time and opportunity given to us to present to you. I and my colleague, my name is Amaka, my colleague is Marcos. We have learned so much from you in this section. We've learned so much from the panelists and each and every one of you, listening to you and the major concerns that you're facing in the market. We all understand truly what's going on. And I think you all deserve a round of applause for this. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we've come basically, right, to see, because one thing we picked from everything you've been saying basically is all around how to manage your cost, the overhead cost, as well as the profitability, which is a major concern for every business person. We're all in business, not just for charity, but just to make money as well as to impact lives. So we've come as the consumer banking lending team to see how we can add value to your business, because we understand fully well that there are some basic concerns you have as an individual and as much as a business. So what are those things, like the infrastructures, like the consumer products, like housing? Housing is a major concern. When we talk about housing, we're talking about the house you live in with your family as well as your business property. Then we're talking about power, which is a major problem, which we are all experiencing in the country which we are. So we know that we have power problems and we have products to serve that need, as well as other things like mobility, which is a major concern when it comes to your business, and how do your logistics, how you carry your products around, get it to the end user. So we have the mortgage, which would address your housing needs. And mortgage, it gives you the flexibility of paying over time. You pay over 10 to 20 years, depending on some parameters which are met. And then we look at financing. When we say financing for power, we're looking at financing for generators. We're looking for financing for the switch to solar product, which is the solar panels, inverters. And we also finance the insurance and the installation of those products. Then we talk about the logistics, the mobility. We have the vehicles. The vehicles, your trucks, your pickups, your pool cars, your individual cars that you need to move around. We have products like that that can give you flexibility of paying over 48 months and more. So what we're trying to take away from you is that pain of having to bring out that cost, that immediate cost from your capital. So we'll be around. I know we have very limited time to answer any questions you have, and we'll be able to trust that the interest rate, which is a major concern, is negotiable. So we can have that conversation and see how we can add value to your business. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Adaize. So I'll move on to the next one. So I know that in distributive business, we have a lot of women in this business. I am a woman, I don't want to, but I realize that there's so many incentives, and government is actually helping a lot so that women businesses can actually grow. Access Bank is a foremost and a major part of that. We ensure that our women are growing, and we have special offer for our women. So I have my colleague from the women banking that can actually speak to it. There's so many distributive businesses. So I always tell my distributors, when they were talking about the distribution network, about the fact that you don't take the cost of borrowing of a retailer or a sub-distributor. We have always been campaigning this. Can we get your sub-distributors into bank? Let them be bankable, such that they too can take the financial obligation off you, so that you don't have to borrow so much. And that is the campaign that we're doing. And that is why most of the times our consumer banking and some of the lending products that we'll bring out are usually for all of these lower cadres. So you can send in a sub-distributor that can come and lend, that can come into Access Bank and get some amount of money without collateral. Quote me, without collateral for some of the monies that they pick up. In women banking, we have that, even in consumer banking, so that they take off that stress. You don't have debt. You don't have debt running on you. You don't have the fact that I have to carry the cost of the business from beginning to the end. I carry it, I lend a sub-distributor, I sell to them on credit, and I'm the one paying the interest rate. So that is why we have all of that. And that is what we have in women banking. It's not that it has to be 100% women. No. There's a percentage of the shareholding that you can enjoy if peradventure you have staff as women and they are a particular percentage. You can get it. You have a particular shareholding, maybe some of your staff, maybe your wife, maybe the shareholders in your business. Because I know that distributors are big. So it's not the fact that it's just a one-man business. There are shareholding criteria in some of your business. So I will allow my women banking guy, so Sam will speak to us. He's a man, but he will speak about a woman.
Good afternoon, everybody. Like she said, my name is Samuel. I work out of the women banking team. All right, so at the women banking, we have a lot of offerings, both products, initiatives, and propositions. So one of the products that she was mentioning is the W Power Loan. Now, the W Power Loan is one of the discounted loan in the industry right now. Like, it is very, very discounted, and it's specific for women entrepreneurs, precisely. She was talking about the shareholding. So if you have up to 20 to 50% female ownership. By female ownership, I mean a female is the CEO or the COO. You are eligible to apply for the W Power Loan. So from 20 to 100% female ownership, you are eligible to apply for the W Power Loan. For want of time, if you have any inquiry, you can just send your inquiries to wcares@accessbankplc.com. So we have the vehicle loan. We have the W Power vehicle loan. This is to finance both new and pre-owned vehicle. So if you want to, you want to buy a vehicle for your business now, where are your plug? Just reach out to us. We'll get it started. Also, we have several offerings. The first speaker mentioned, he asked how many persons have a budget here, and only a very few persons raised their hand. We have networking sessions like the W session in branches, where businesses get trained on how to prepare budget for their business, and several other kind of trainings like that in our sessions in branches. We also have monthly webinars, seminars, and trainings that cut across several topics. Trust me, we, at the WKS, we have you at heart. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I will call in pension. It's part of our corporation. I know that a lot of us look at the fact that, so we've done a forum on succession planning. And we've looked at the fact that, so Jimmy was talking, was it Jimmy or Mr. Bonnie Ubeze, talking about costs, that you pay yourself, you look after your old self, so that you don't, at the end of the day, when there is a little stress, you now have to go into the working capital, or the business dies. So that's why we have pension, and we have insurance here. So they will speak a little about how we can introduce pension into our businesses.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adeze. I'll be speaking on pensions briefly. I'm sure that there's no one here who doesn't know pensions. Most times when you think about pensions, you think about old people, right? But the truth is, everyone here is eventually going to get there. So the question is, what plan do you have for yourself when you are old, when you're unable to work as hard as you do right now? And that's why we're here. Beyond the regular contributory pensions that you do, there's something that we've put together that is called micro pensions for people who are not doing formal jobs. So you can actually contribute as low as 4,000 naira. And if you keep contributing, of course, if you understand compounded interest, you know that over the years, that money will keep growing for you. The beautiful thing about it is you can access about 60% of that money, and then you leave the rest of 40% for yourself towards retirement. 40%, and then you leave 60%, apologies. And the good thing about it also is that money, as you're accessing it, there's interest rates. So we're investing that money for you. It's something to really think about, because at a point, I know that some people will say that it's good to have children, train them well so that they will take care of you when you are old, but it's also good to make sure that you have money waiting for you after you've worked this hard and you are able to access that money. So we're here, we're Access Pensions. We've been in the industry for a long time. We're a combination of Sigma pensions and first guarantee pensions. And we have an AUM of over 1.2 trillion. We're large enough to take you on. And another very good thing is, if you have your pensions with us and your account with Access Bank, you can get further discounted rates on your loans because you're with us. You have a lot of your investments with us. So it's a really good thing. So it's something to, sit and think about. You can talk to us. We're around. If you want to do a pensions plan, we can help you build something. You can give us an amount, a scenario of what you want to look at when you are retiring. And we can walk you through what you need to, put down every month. And then you're able to get that amount that you're looking at. So we can build your retirement plan with you. And also, you can also access that money as a way to save up towards something that you want to do with good interest rates, because our interest rate is one of the best in the market. So we're more than happy to have a sit down with you. We're still around. We'll try and hand out our cards as well. And then, we can discuss your retirement plan with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Adaide. So I have my insurance. So I don't have to say so much about pension. So I will bring in my insurance person so that Stephen.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Stephen from Access Insurance Brokers. So why insurance? Why do you need to place your insurance risk through an insurance broker? So we are basically the distributors of insurance insurance products and services. So I have this client on the she has shops worth about 120 million naira. So of recently, her shop got burnt. Unfortunately for her, she did not take up that cover. So she lost her goods worth over 120 million naira. So she called me that what exactly can I do? What exactly do I have to offer? So I explained to her that, she just lost 120 million naira worth of goods. Had it been she had taken that insurance with us, she would have been compensated. So she now came back to me, took up that insurance cover, and she most recently had a loss. Some burglars came to her shop and she lost goods worth over 20 million naira. So what's the essence of this story? The essence of this story is that most people have this bias that insurance doesn't work in this part of the world. But I'm here to debunk that fact that insurance works once you place your insurance needs through an insurance broker. So we at Access Insurance Broker, we are basically saying we have various insurance products and services for your businesses at no additional cost. So an insurance broker is basically the middleman between the insurance broker and you, the final consumer of that particular goods of the insurance product. So we are basically saying that we are here to partner with you, and we have various retail and corporate insurance risk services to offer to you. And yes, like I said earlier, in these services come at no additional cost. And yes, we are Access Insurance Brokers, and we look forward to doing business with you. And we are readily available to discuss with you. Thank you so much. Access Insurance Brokers. Coronation is an insurance company, so basically we are the middlemen between Coronation and the final consumers. Yes. We are Access Insurance Brokers. Brokers are basically like the middlemen. Yes. So what insurance brokers do is like they help you to negotiate the best rates, and most importantly, when it comes to claims, I mean the insurance claim is the final product of the insurance. So once you have an insurance claim, an insurance broker, they are the professionals that have the right skill set to help you process your claim in a much prompt manner. So that's why we are here. Thank you very much.
Okay. Oh, wow. Thank you very much. So please, let's ensure to engage and patronize all of our group holding companies, our part holding companies, from Access Pension, Access Insurance Brokers, Hydrogen, Women Banking, and our corporate lending. Thank you so much to everyone. They would all be in the room, in the tea room out there. Please, it would be nice to engage. You do not want to have come here today and gotten all of this information and not convert the opportunities that are available to you to explore in your respective businesses. To give the closing remark, I'd like to call on our amiable group head again, who will give us a quick closing remark, and then we'll bring the meeting to a close. Thank you.
Yeah, I will. Thank you very, very much. I cannot say how so happy we are for you coming in today. We're so happy to have you, from all our distributors, the panelists, our speakers, the Honorable Commissioner that was here as well. We've had a fantastic time. And you will know that there are some distributors that have been coming for this forum, I think in the last 10 years or 8 years that we've been having it. And we have actually improved. We've actually taken your feedback. We've actually looked at what has been happening in the economy and then grow it, make it better. And you know, I first said something to you guys, to the distributors, I'm sorry, our stakeholders, is that we are not just here to make profits. We are here to help your businesses scale. Apart from we being a financial institution, we are also your capacity builders. We are here to give you advice on how to scale up, to give you advice into loopholes that we might see that you can actually take up and start using. We've looked into all of your businesses. We've looked into the trends that have been happening in the industry, and we create them to bring industry experts to speak to you, to help you leverage on the opportunities that some of us don't even see. Today I heard so many things from the panelists. They were giving a lot of insight into what we can do. How do you, in this economy that you have, there's so many opportunities. People are becoming billionaires. People are losing as well. But what do we do in Access Bank? We want to leverage on the opportunities, take it to the highest point, and then cash out with that, whilst being a responsible citizen of the country. So what we are doing here is that, so I always look at it, retail business in Nigeria is like, maybe like 38% or 45%. So you are a major part of the economy, and you cannot afford We cannot afford for SMEs not to thrive. And that is why we have taken it up in Access Bank. Apart from we going into the big corporate, what we do is that we support our SMEs. MSMEs, we support them. And that is why all of these corporations that have come in, all of our old codes, all the arms are here to support you. We have the payments, we have the pension, we have the insurance, we have a tax person. So we can actually leverage on all of this strength to take us to where we want to be at every point in time. We want to be able to be with you, celebrate your success as you celebrate our success as well. So we are everywhere. Access Bank is in all of the states in Nigeria. We are in most of the African countries. We are also in Hong Kong. We are in Malta. We are the only Nigerian bank that is there. So if you want to do any trade business, somebody was talking about AFCA. If you want to do any trade business, we are here for you. And we are here to support you. We have people, we have platform, and we have you guys. So we are so happy. We're saying thank you for taking out time. You guys must have spent a long time here. Thank you for coming. Well, I think when we call you another time, you will be here to honor our invitation. We'll take it up. We're looking at taking it nationwide and taking it up to all of our regions again, not only Lagos. So we take it to all of the regions that we have all over. We look at the fact that, okay, we have African countries. So at the point in time, the one we had last year, we had African countries coming in. So you can see a broad spectrum of what we are doing. We thank you all, and we thank you for coming. We do not take it for granted. We hope that when we call you, you will come again. Another thing I need to tell you is that Access Bank Rights is available. You couldn't have been banking with us for like 30 years. A big organization that you guys have made to grow, and you will have a share. I'm very sure a lot of our shareholders are here. Please take up your rights. Access Bank is going places, and you don't want to not be in that profit sharing. So what we have done over the years is to grow. Now we are consolidating. We are making sure that our shareholders are getting profit for what they are doing. So I don't think you would want to look back 5 years and you're seeing Access Bank shares going up to like 60 naira, 45 naira, and you're looking at the fact that, I grew this bank too now. I was a customer. So please take up your rights. Take up, you can actually buy the shares as well. Take it up, and you won't regret that you did that. Thank you all for coming. And if there is anything that you need to ask us, we are over there. You can ask us any questions. Your relationship team too will be available. All the slides and the talk here will be sent to everybody that has registered. Before you guys go, please, you can take pictures with us. We like group pictures. We don't mind you taking pictures with us as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Morenike. Please, a big round of applause for Morenike. And the team in general. Let's put our hands together for the Access Bank team. Please note that we have lunch. Do not leave yet. We will still take a closing prayer, and then we have lunch for everyone. So please do not leave. Can we rise to our feet as we take the closing prayer? Please, let's take that moment of quiet and reverence to God, please. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Prof, I don't know if you would do us the honors of a closing prayer. We had an elderly man pray for us in the Christian way. Well, I'm...
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. People online, we thank you as well. I think we dropped that, but we thank everyone, even online. Then there's an announcement I needed to make. So sorry about that. There's a product that we have actually given out. We're just about launching it. It's a risk-sharing facility to help with collateral. We'll give further information on that so that it helps customers and distributors on the fact that a lot of people don't have collateral, but we've been able to collaborate with another country to actually bring that on board. So we'll get back to everyone. It's called AGFs, but we'll get back to everyone. And AGF is a risk-sharing collateral structure. We'll get it out, and I think that will help in the businesses. So,
absolutely amazing. Thank you. So a lot of things to take advantage of. Can you do us the honors of the closing prayer, ma? Please. Do we have a Muslim woman in the room? Muslim woman? A Muslim woman. Okay, Prof, we'll have to resolve to a man. Thank you, sir.
Well, we thank God for a successful forum that we had today, and we have no other thing to say than to say thank you, Lord. We thank God, and we pray that everybody will get home safely, and your businesses by this time next year will thrive more than double of what you are doing in the past.
Amen. Thank you, everyone. Please remember that lunch is served in the lunchroom on that side. Please get your package as you make your way out. And please note that all our businesses the representatives are in the room. But we'd like to take pictures. We'd like to take a group picture with all our speakers. And you, our valued distributor, you can also join us. We'd love to take pictures. Pictures. Photographer, are we here? Can we come out, please? Prof, everyone, Ma, everyone, please, you can join us. We can all come out for a group picture if you want to be part of the group picture.